Yeah. Cool.
Oh, hello. We are live again.
Oh, we're live again.
Hello, everyone. It's me, the
it says-
Laser Sports Academy Tech. Can I get...
Okay.
Bootza, can you say some stuff?
Hey, we're actually live, are we?
Yeah, we're actually live.
I think outside of
Ibo,
the way,
can you say
ads
something?
and stuff like that. Yeah, yep.
Well,
Test, test,
yeah,
one,
welcome.
two. Test, test, 1, 2.
Can you hear me okay, Mr. Tech? We're just waiting on Jake to come back.
Okay, I did the little test.
Kid.
You guys, you will sound fine now.
Better test mine. Does mine sound fine?
Nah, everyone sounds awesome. Cool. All right. Sorry about that.
Someone want to whack a Facebook post up quickly as well, maybe just to let people know.
Yeah, I can do the post, Bootza, so you can get back into it.
Do I have to click start streaming
just a quick
again?
cameo.
No.
Nah, I'm streaming it on my thing, so I will have to stop streaming it on my computer once you guys are done as well. But that's okay. I was just watching a movie anyway. So I'm not watching you old farts. I'm a fake. I'm a fake LSA fan.
You're in there, mate. You started in there in this decade. You're old like us.
We're also back on, Jake.
It's true. All right.
Cool. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us. Enjoy the show with the boys. I'm going to be I'll just be hovering around, but I'll leave the video ninja so my blank profile isn't just sitting there either. All right. Have fun, gentlemen.
Thank you, Hans.
All right. Thank you, technicians,
All
man. All right. So let's continue on. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Really appreciate that. It allowed us to get it all together. Now we're sounding good. Now we can launch into it and save you the displeasure of having to listen to all that the way it was before. Ibo, where were we, mate? You were talking about the brilliance of Infusion.
Yeah, T2.
It was.
Okay, so
please continue.
I started on Infusion and I didn't know any better until I played, Nexus later on. But just the caveats of that system and in a competitive environment, particularly, were interesting to say the least. Like the how easy it was to knock a battery out. What else was there? What were some other things about Infusion?
The wind would pop out, so you could just put your fingers in and just move the LEDs around. Yeah.
I think I've even heard of players that have done that and then just bent over the IR receiving sensors as well to just make their packs a little bit less
So
hittable.
can I just tell one more story about Darwin then?
That's about 7 red cones.
on that point. So I know there was a pack in Darwin. So this is what you used to be able to do on Infusion: is lift your shoulder up and put your finger in and push the sensor over. So you couldn't get shot in the shoulder. So then if you obviously walk around like this, you're basically untaggable on the shoulder, especially if people are trying to get you over 3 foot height. So there was definitely 2 packs that had that in Darwin. And there was definitely packs getting issued by local players to specific players in finals games so this is the kind of stuff that would happen in the Wild West. So this is why we have these very awesome rules around distribution of packs and things like that now, and the randomization of packs. Equipment really did make a difference back in the early days. But that was the last one on Fusion. That was the last time you could do that, because as soon as we got to Nexus, everything was surface mounted, so you couldn't manipulate the sensors anymore. But yeah. And there's the no timing thing. So you come up anywhere between 7.5 and 8.5 seconds after you got tagged, essentially.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really.
Out of all the systems, this timing was definitely the most unique one. In terms of it was just too random. Because I was brought up on with you Bootza back here in WA, the VLV4 system, which I found more closer to Nexus. So when we moved to Nexus, I got more happy because I was like, oh, I can do things again and no longer just have to hope for the best.
Can you still see me flicking through photos right now?
Yep.
You can?
I can see the photos up.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got your photo folder.
Yeah, it's not like.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I won't be able to. Okay, yeah, sweet. All right. Just trying to get something that's going to work. Otherwise, I've got to share each
I think
individual
your
photo.
PowerPoint before
Anyway.
whatever you're doing was right.
It wasn't scrolling through though. I couldn't see
Oh, it was working.
Ah,
Wasn't scrolling through.
Oh,
I'll try one more time.
I think you have to bring it up individually, which is weird on just a share screen. It should work.
we are getting some feedback that the audio is better and stream is running smoother too. So good news.
Excellent.
Was Darwin 4 shots a second?
No,
No, it's
No.
Nats has always been.
Well, that was just our
That was
WA
WA
league,
league.
wasn't it?
Is it flicking through the screens on the PowerPoint now?
no.
It's just
Or is it just no?
just going on looking
Just going.
impressed.
Just
Impressed with his team.
Just
wasn't it?
going. All right.
Well, you're not looking like that if you're happy.
Okay.
Come on. No offense, Garn, if you're watching.
Yeah. All right. Oh. Okay, so I won't be able to pull the results up then. That's a bit of a bummer. So yeah, essentially, quick run on results. We probably do need to move through to the next team, the next Nats. But essentially, Darwin, they made a final at home, which was amazing. They actually they hadn't had great performances leading into this year, and everybody was a little bit like, oh, how are they going to go? And everybody was like really surprised how well they played. Actually, they were hard to beat. They made the grand final in their home arena, and yeah, can you remember much about what happened in the grand final, Jake?
It was just, I'm pretty sure it was just heavily defended. The first game was a crazy defensive game from memory, and then I think it was just a lot of dominating that half height in the center while defending at the same time. It'd be nice to see the base stats and stuff for each game to give me a better idea, but
Oh, in the first game, only 2 bases went down, and you guys got none. But you won.
yeah.
Which I think just to cut in there, this sparked the whole color choice, because I believe going into this, the colors were predetermined regardless going into the final series.
Yeah,
and then so the Knights were given, they had no option but to play red, which was by far the strongest base. In the first game, which is historically low scoring and ultimately weighs in a lot less on an average score final system.
Yeah, because we played blue last, which was not the best base, and we lost that game when technically that should have been like our blowout game, the last one. So yeah, because that's right, because it was a 2 base game for the first one, and then it was like 26 bases and huge base games. So. Yeah, because then Darwin's dominated on their red game on the last 2 that was just super aggressive. So yeah, and that was also on average score, wasn't it? No, that was the
average score.
Average score.
Finals has always been average score.
Yeah, it's always been average.
You guys are only 1,500 off on average. Total score. So yeah, 1,500 total across 3 games.
And then I guess if we just quickly
really
recap the overall finals results for everything, we end up with Boom in 3rd place, WA Knights in 2nd place, and Darwin Wildcards home team taking it out. Solos was also won by a Darwin player, so number 5 taking out the Solos title with a God from WA in 2nd, Spitfire from Hobart in 3rd. Doubles was Hybrid and Bullet. Taking out the doubles, Chunky and Slimy in 2nd place, and I think this was really during that era of WA domination in doubles. You know, like there was always 2 or 3. It felt like WA teams in on every doubles podium. So Chunky and Slimy getting 2nd, and then home team players Deadpool and number 5 getting 3rd. Triples, well, if you played in this time, you knew the sync. Guilo and Belfast triple pairing. They were dominant, and I think they won 3 or 4 triples.
They were
over a couple of years.
Unbeaten for
Damo.
From when triples came in. They were unbeaten until well, they lost in 08. That's only because Guilo broke his arm, and so they didn't play.
Bendigo, I think the Americans come
And
in.
Bendigo,
as well.
yeah, the Americans came in. They played on their format, and then they didn't lose till 2012, I think. No, 2011.
2011, where they got second, right? So so Sinkwalla and Belfast winning that. Bullet, Bootza, and Shaz, a mixed team. WA and Queensland getting second, and then Chunky, Slimy, and Fab taking out third. Masters, Deadpool winning. Backing up. Oh no, it was the first of two from Deadpool, but this was his first one. Ben Jansen won 1-1 plus 4-4-4 in second, and Freak taking third. Women's Matt from Queensland. Oh, I didn't realise she won that year. With Rep and Mad Mel from. Oh no, I'm looking at Sunny Ghost.
Pirate
Whoops,
one. Pirate
sorry,
one.
my mistake. Pirate one. That makes way more sense to me now. Yeah, so Masters was Deadpool, Doc or Phoenix and Chook, and then women's Pirate. Rep.
I think
and
Pirate
Mad Mel
dominated the first game, and then spots and everything was sort of figured out, and then all the scores was sort of average, and it was just I think her first game was something that was.
Oh yeah, didn't she win the first game by like 4K or 5K or
it was ridiculous because
ludicrous?
there were no drop games.
Yeah, so have a look at score.
Drop game.
Arcane got second in that game on 7-4, and Pirate won with 11-2. So that's a big discrepancy because that was back then. That wasn't drop your best, drop your worst. It was just drop your worst from 4 games.
And if I remember correctly, solos. Mad Mel made the Open Solos finals and was the first female player to appear in the ZLTAC solo final as well, from memory. So I think that deserves a shout out.
You are
Definitely.
correct, yes.
Cool. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you for the summary of 2010. I reckon we should move on to 2011 now. And I just realised I was trying to figure out why the screen was black, and then I realised we're broadcasting from the text computer, so we're not going to have any visuals, are we? Am I correct in saying that?
No, if you bring up something to show your screen, it should come up.
Oh, can you guys see it? Can you guys see us streaming?
Possibly.
They can see us. They can see us.
They can see us. I'm not sure if they can see us.
Oh, they can see us?
Actually, if someone in the stream can just let us know if Bootza's putting up maps or whatever, they're actually coming up.
Can you guys see me putting things
we
up?
We won't know for a few minutes. There's a delay.
Yeah.
But there certainly was something before.
There was when you put up the pictures of Boom, yes. Wax is saying nope.
Alrighty.
That's because we've got nothing up at the moment.
Oh, yeah, that's because we... Give it a second, Wax.
Whose idea was it to put Bootza in charge of the...
That'd be Bootza.
The technical director of this operation.
That's why I offered it up, to be quite honest. All right. Can you see?
Yeah, there we go.
We'll give it a second to show up on the stream.
Okay. Now, can you see now? Can Willow Bridge? So Revolution.
Yep, that's working.
Can you see a different photo now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what I can do is I can just I can't.
Yeah, you can't.
Start the actual PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I've also got the switch up.
Near enough. Good enough.
It is working on the stream as well. Look at you go, Boots. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yay! Look at me, technology and stuff. Mackie B was a good player, right? This guy here.
Yeah, he was a
pretty sharp,
very quick up and comer. So
yeah, kind of came and left, but he created some carnage on the way through. Here's our Hobart guys from that. They were pretty in a developing era at this stage. They were kind of like in the crossover between the old school Hobart A team that were the first to win away. Like they had Spitfire and Leper, and then CB was starting, Ling Ling was starting, this Stiffy and Akron.
I know Ling Ling never exactly looks like old, but he looks particularly young. All
right. Quick photo of Bubbles. Sinclair, the famous Sinclair from you may know him from Sinks List. All right, we're on to Werribee. Okay. Oh no, just before we go, 5-star rating, guys. Arena, give it to me.
I'll start. I will say Arena 3 out of 5. it had its interesting things and its perks, but the mirrors up the side, the mirrors running up the whole side of the arena, I wasn't a fan of. Random roof mirrors, I wasn't a huge fan of. You know, I think it's only redeemed by the halfies and the dance floor, and yeah, C+.
C+. All right, Jakey boy.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I was like 2.5 to 3. It was fun, but yeah, not fun. Like the tiles that you couldn't kneel on because they were.
Oh, you're in my box. Remember,
Catch
was
the
this the
motion.
one where you couldn't be in the square? Like,
Oh,
and you could only have one
Yeah.
player occupying a square, and people would like ref
Yes.
bait and be like, "You're in my square. Get out of my square." But like the squares were like the size of a
that
chess
was
palette. They were like 1.2 by 1.2 meters. You had to be like so far apart from each other to occupy. Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm going to give it. I actually given 2010 a 5-star. So I've only given 2 5 stars in the entire 10-year period, and that was one of them. I loved the 2010 arena, probably because it suited my play style. It was very floaty. I was on the dance floor, just being able to play my heart out every game. Absolutely thought it was a ripper. In terms of fun factor, guys, quick in terms of enjoyment of the competition.
For me, I'm going to give it
Ivo?
a 4. Mostly because it was my first away nat, so I got to experience, staying in a hotel, staying with a team, all those things for the first time. So yeah, definitely special to me for those reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jakey boy?
I'm a 4, just because it was first year of Knights and just there's a lot of enjoyment. The social factor was huge. So
yeah, I agree. I gave it a 4-star as well. Thought it was a ripper fun tournament. And in terms of the level of competition, I actually gave this one a 5-star. I thought it was one of the, even though there was a smaller group of top teams, it had Boom at their prime, Wank at their prime. We were pretty good at that year. Like I felt like, we'd got it was the early Maroons coming together. And then there was Willowbridge, Revolution were good. Like this is when Hybrid and Bullet were at their peak. Like Hybrid was just winning the solo ladder every year at this point. I just feel like the top group of teams were like really competitive. And of course you had a strong home team as well. So yeah, I've given it a 5 for level. Ivo, what do you think?
I think I'll give it a 4. I think the top group were good. I don't rate us as much as maybe you did in that year. I think we were not quite in that tier of those top few teams, and we're in probably tier 2 with your Willowbridges and your Revolution, which is sort of like the Jigger Penguins, I guess. But yeah, it was solid. 4.
Yep, Jake boy.
yeah, I'd say a 4 as well. Pretty much for most reason you guys have given as well. So
Awesome. All right, so we're ready to move on to Werribee. Here we go. Okay, so we had our first Nexus tournament. 31 teams, 175 players, 20 women's, 23 masters. This was the first year we cracked 30 teams, so which made it unique. What else can we say about Werribee? There was no base evac this year. Correct. Is that correct?
yeah, that's correct.
Correct. So I actually put the first image as the arena map because it looks like Pac-Man. That was the gut-wrapping joke that year. There was no base evac. Now we'd had some years where we'd had spot evac, but I think this is the first year we had
the
no
boxes
base
in yellow
whatsoever.
No.
Out of power.
Only if you were out
Yeah.
of power.
There was this was the first ever,
Yeah, so
because the two nationals Bootza's alluding to there was 2004 and 8, which were both subsequently WA Nats, where there was spot evac and not full base evac. But this was the full no base evac just because it just didn't work in the arena setup.
Yeah. So for me as well, like this was the final year of Boom. I'm pretty sure they didn't come any years after this one.
Yeah, this is their last crack.
So that was this was their last crack, and it was a home one, and their team kind of fell apart. They ended up splitting into 2 teams, and it didn't really work for them that well. They didn't make the final, sadly. This was their home year where they were supposed to win. And for me, one of the big unique things about this year was just the strategy that ended up being the winning strategy for this arena. Was like, we will never see this ever happen again in a nationals. And I'm not going to share it. I'll let Jake share it because he won with it, so why not? But yeah, Jake, did you want to kick us off about this tournament, why it was different or special for you?
Well, special for us because we won. But no, just the arena was nice and wide and open. It was not ridiculously tight. You didn't have to watch corners and that sort of thing, so you could play fast. But then at the same time, with the spot evac, it just became heavily, dominant on putting the right person in the right spot. Yeah, holding well like that. And then it wasn't so much. It was more of a heavy points base, a heavy points arena, but trying to effectively trick the other teams into thinking you have more bases than you do, and then making it sort of blow out to be a points game, and that's when you sort of snuck in and got the rest of your bases. Not a strategy we came up with, but one we were told, and then just sort of, thanks Arbel, and then adapted and did it better, I guess.
Right. Okay, so while we're here, you might as well tell the story because it's a pretty classic story. I think before you start, I'll just pull this up so we can see just how far ahead Fury was. If you look at this, I've got this chart to the very left is the team ladder before finals. So this is what we went into finals with. And as you can see, Fury were on 122 points and they were well ahead of Hobart A on 106, and Wank were down in fourth on 100. So yeah, mate, tell us what happened.
Yeah, so basically most games we'd play against Fury, we couldn't figure out how they were getting their bases so quickly. But halfway through the game or 2/3 into the game, they'd be like, we're done. We're like, oh, now it becomes a base game. So you'd abandon your base to get the bases you needed to make up for, and then you hear your base going down because they didn't actually have bases, but you are thinking it's the team that's not Fury. And we're like, what do we do? What do we do? And yeah, it was brought to our attention that what was actually happening was, they didn't have bases. They just tried to turn the game into chaos by saying they had bases. And break the game open. And when we figured that out, the strat became null and void. We just continued to play a same bend, send out, get bases. That's pretty much the gist of it.
So I was under the impression that the winning strategy the strategy that Fury were using was that they would send 2 to one base, 2 to the other base, and basically have one person defending until just to kind of hold people up. And then they would eventually just completely abandon their base by the halfway point.
I remember
Correct,
there being like
sorry.
a train. There was like a train thing, like they'd get all aboard the hybrid train or something, and like choo choo, like
I don't remember that.
That guy. Get on that train.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, as you said, just a pretty big 2-2-1. So like, let's bring up the maze map. Yeah, so for us, it was more about like 2 of us would go to either blue and green, and Damo would, blue and red, and Damo would sit at yellow, being a lefty, and just sit in one of the boxes in the left-hand spot. And then when you're complete, it's kind of like just a split dump, and just constantly bounce between what you needed, and just base race, and then just field points, and that was it.
Yeah, so it was the ultimate like base race and field points arena, right?
This is the only arena where that strategy could work because there was no base evac, so that's what made that strategy so strong.
Correct.
And also
not ridiculous long shots. It was all so you didn't have to worry about being.
But there were ridiculous mirror shots. You could shoot blue base off that window. Remember?
Oh, so basically, to piggyback off Arbel's point, for everyone watching at home, this entire wall, the northern wall in this picture, was actually a series of glass panels, because behind it was a corridor which led to the toilets, and so it was like somewhat reflective, but not reliably reflective from my memory.
Yeah, it was, but like so you could shoot the blue base off of the window, basically just at the top there. So that blue panel that's running off that north wall, as you said, you could shoot around that off the window into the base to get the base. So it was quite a funny year that year with the way you could shoot bases.
Interesting arena nonetheless, right? Interesting is probably the best word.
Oh, absolutely.
And I remember that the field, one of the other reasons it was such a big field pointing game is because you could sit in these areas out here and get shots off the mirrors to all the defenders. So you'd actually there was just a lot of field points had if you just basically abandon your base, get into good positions and start blasting shots into bases, essentially, and off mirrors.
That's what made the whole base fight null and void, and that's why also base fight couldn't work, because you could hide in the red box and shoot someone off of the window to shoot them off and get them out of that box. So that's why you couldn't really just hold anywhere, because there were so many reflex spots on those spots as well. And actually, one thing I noticed was quite funny was where what people were doing was to make those reflex shots and everything null and void. It was Timmy that was doing it, was standing just directly underneath blue base and never move from there, because when you'd shoot him, you'd accidentally shoot the base because it would reflect into the base, and then because you're not safe, you just get denied. So yeah, it was a very, very interesting maze, as you said, to say the least.
All right, so let's just flip a few photos. So I remember the handball was popular this year. I think this was the queue for handball out in the car park, which is
This always was for quite a while.
People still trying to figure out how not to cover.
There was some conversations had at this nationals about prosthetic hands and definitions of rules. If my dog played laser tag, would he be covering? Do you guys remember that saga?
There was there were lots of issues with what exactly is covering, and basically, if we can find a loophole, we're going to try and find a loophole. Was the way to go.
This was Dan's. I can't believe you're asking this question, Face.
It's if your arms have to be up here, or you're covering, basically.
Mr. Woolley. This guy here on the right, a lot of people wouldn't know him. He's a player called Hamburglar, who was played for Geelong through the mid 2000s. He was a machine. So he got a third.
Yep.
He changed
right.
that. Yeah.
Pretty sure he got a third in solos in Rocky. Pretty sure.
Right.
Or one of the years he got placed in solos. But yeah, he was a monster, that guy. And this is where you'd usually find the knights around the maps somewhere. This is so you guys were definitely the most professional. The first team to be a more professional team. You didn't go. There wasn't the ups and downs with what wins and losses. If you lost a game, you didn't ever show it publicly. You always were so well organized and planned. I think that was one of the big things you guys kind of changed or sort of revolutionized. We always looked up to you guys.
There was no in-team bickering. We didn't have a captain. There was a captain for paper purposes, but in-game, if someone made a call, that was the call. It was just complete and utter trust in the rest of the team. Communication was key as well. Just comms and trust, really.
Yeah, and you had so much flexibility with how you could set up because of the way you guys ran things as well. You had multiple players that could go through first attack, and also having a 5-person team as well. You could just lock down, and if you had a system that was working, you could just lock it in and just go with the same system.
And that was a slight bit of arrogance on our part when we first started. For Darwin, we were like, right, do we want a 6th? And then we're like, well, when we make finals, who wants to sit out? And we're all like, not me. So we ran with 5 and just stuck with 5.
I think one of the stories of the comp as well, we're probably got to talk about Canberra a little bit, because this is when Canberra really started to, they were one of the first sides to get Nexus. And I remember they were the Nexus babies, and we had this generation of Canberra players who were all super good on the packs. So there was one of them, a young Nuffa, and they were winning games. Who's that pretty girl?
Oh, that's my wife, the one on the right.
Yeah, well, that year.
So funny story. This guy here.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was gonna say that year, no one knew
finish
what to
up?
expect from Canberra because after they won in 2002, they hadn't really been able to get back to that, and then all of a sudden they came in, like you said, with all these new kids none one had ever heard of, and taking games off of teams that you were like, oh, who are these guys? Why are they beating us? Sort of thing.
They definitely let us know about it too, didn't they?
I remember. I think was that like Mini's first Nats.
Oh, for a lot of them it was Mini, Sania, Nuffa.
Yeah, it was like that
all those
generation
guys,
of Nexus
yeah.
baby Canberra guys come through, and boy did they let you know when they beat you.
Yeah.
Props.
Yeah, it's not much. So this guy here, little known fact, I think his alias was Joker. He was one of the guys that was the manager at Box Hill when the first Nats were ever run in 99 and 2000. So he was the guy that worked with Doc to get the first Nats off the ground.
Yeah.
And he'd come back for a little bit of a cameo at 2011
Was that
just to check in. I think he
Jester,
played. But yeah.
Jester.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Jester. Joker. Jester. So yeah, legend dude, that guy. Ibo didn't like what he was hearing
Young Ibo.
at that moment.
Yeah, I think. Werribee was special to me. I'm just gonna jump in and tell you why Werribee was special to me. It was the first Nats. I was 18, baby. So yeah, I didn't get kicked out any bars that time. No, and it was really cool. I actually flew down to Melbourne a week prior and just kicked around for a bit. It was like a bit of a coming of age thing. Me and Waldo. Hung out in Geelong and sort of did a bit of backpacking beforehand. So, yeah, that was what made Werribee special for me.
Just quickly in the chat, Odur was saying that Mini Nuffa's first name was actually Darwin, and they spooned.
Oh.
This guy here, he was like during this period, hybrid was just a machine.
Definitely like pack on pack.
He was like
one of the best, yeah,
in the country. Yeah.
All right. So before we get into results, is there any special stories you want to share?
Yeah. Couple. First one, and I don't think it's been broken, but I believe Fury are still to this day the only team that ever went through both Cascades unbeaten. Like that's never been done. They went 6-for-6 and 6-for-6 in the two Cascades, and and when you consider 31 teams, there's a lot of good teams in this one. Like that's a pretty good thing. The other one that was funny for me was that when you were mentioning that wall with the mirrors, also behind that mirror was the ob deck where you could actually watch the game from, and that was where
What if I scratch my nose?
Yeah, scratch my nose, and we started bringing the rule about phones and stuff because people would be walking down with their phones and walk up to the mirror. So that's where a big thing about ob deck etiquette came in, and no passing on messages, because I believe someone did do that. I honestly cannot remember who or from.
I've got a story.
I heard, but
I was involved in this. So Dan comes up to me at some stage. I'm sitting in the corridor, just scratching my chin, and Dan comes up to me and goes, "Man, I'm really sorry that I have to do this, but somebody has just complained that you're in the corridor and you are signaling to somebody in the arena." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Because you're scratching your chin." And I'm like, "Oh my god."
Okay. So this is tough because I kind of get it, right? I get where this complaint comes from, but I've also known you for a long time, Ben, and I know you're a serial chin scratcher. So I completely back your innocence here, but you could understand why,
Well, as a serial chin scratcher, mate, I have at least a dozen different chin scratches that I could potentially label with.
Go to red.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to green.
All right, let's move on. Ibo, do you want to cover some results for us, bro?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so 2011 Werribee teams. We'll get through this nice and quick. Okay, in first place, WA Knights. We all know it was the start of their run. Second year they'd been together, and they come through and won. Second place was WA Fury. Hugely upsetting for them. They were certainly the strongest in the tournament the whole way through. And in third place, Hobart A.
They were the team to beat. So
Yeah. Hobart A were very, very strong. And I mean, this was in that era where they were good on everything. They were good on Infusion. They had a slight dip in 2010 Darwin. Werribee, they come back with a vengeance. Really, really good on Nexus. Solos, Damo took out solo title. Guilo in second place. Hybrid in third. Doubles was won by Chunky and Slimy. So far the Knights have swept. Damo and Psych in second place. And Spitfire and Captain Veg in third. Triples. What? Can anyone remember the triples format this year? I don't actually recall it.
I think it was just, wasn't it you could hit each base once each, but there was 6 bases. The reloads became bases or something, wasn't it?
There was definitely, yes, that was definitely a thing. Yeah. 6 bases. I can't remember if there was any other twist to it, but either way, Spitfire, Captain Veg, and sort of the up and coming at the time Tasmania Place Sunrise took out triples. Sinclair, Belfast, and Guilo's run come to an end. They got second place, and then third was the lone trophy for Queensland that year. Bootza, Raiden, and Vindicare, who most people now know as Wilder. Masters was won by Infused, and this is when he become great grandmaster Infused, or something like that.
Yeah, who knows? He's won a lot.
Deadpool in second, and Deutsche out of Canberra in third. Women's won by Rep. Susie Q was a Canberra player, played for a couple of years, come in second, and then Nessica out of Victoria took out third place. And it was the last year where we didn't have Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just a quick one on Sunrise. What's the fun fact about Sunrise? Sunrise is Runt's older brother, isn't it?
Oh, is he? Oh,
pretty sure. So Runt's older brother played. That's how Runt got into it. He was a pretty good player. He wasn't quite as into it as what Runt's ended up being. But Sunrise was a good player. That's about Sunrise. That on the left there's Guilo. He's won a solos in Campbelltown 2006. Played for Boom, legend of the game.
I think first player to get the Grand Slam too, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was the first player to get a Grand Slam. Yes.
That's Campbelltown. I think this was their last. Was this their last year that they played? So they played.
They played in 2013, but they didn't play Lonnie.
Yeah. So
there's 5 foul backlist there. Definitely played.
2 new faces there. Mr. Stingray. That was the slimy chunky face. All right, boys. Quick one. Arena measure out of 5 stars. Arbel.
I had to give, for me, I gave this one 4, which a lot of newer players will not like, but being from WA where we don't have base evac, this was right up our alley. So we were right at home here. We loved it. So I have to give the Arena 4 just purely for that reason alone.
Cool. Ibo?
I give this a 1.5 out of 5. Did not enjoy the Arena. 1.5.
I thought I was low at 2, but you've just taken it to new levels, mate.
Well, I'm reserving a 1. But this is in strong contention for a 1.
Okay. And Jakey boy.
Yeah, look, I'm in Arbel's boat. So coming from obviously WA and not having base evac, this was right up our alley. So this is my 5.
Oh, 5. Awesome.
Ooh, 5.
Okay, there we go. That's a big stretch there. Okay, fun factor. Arbel.
Fun factor, yeah. I enjoyed this year just because obviously it was the largest ever Nats, and it was a whole bunch of new faces and everything. So it was really good for that reason for me. So I give it probably a 4 as well. Yeah.
A 4. Ibo.
I'm going to give this one a 5 on the fun factor, purely on the basis of it was my first Nats as an of-age adult, and just some of the theatrics I just found really enjoyable. They had the grandstand seating in the foyer because it was the first time we'd had that many. We couldn't all fit everyone. Everyone was outside playing handball all day. Definitely a 5 in the fun factor. Everything out of the arena was great.
Jakey boy.
Yeah, I'm a 4 for the fun factor. So.
Cool beans. And I gave it a 3. I thought it was okay, but we had a few internal issues that year. Remember, Ibo?
Oh, like, can we even talk about those on a stream? Like,
Well, we can say that we had internal issues, but we had an old school player, Raiden, who was an excellent player. He won a solos in 2005. He'd had a few years off, came back, and wasn't mixing so well with the new team. Essentially,
he really came from an era where teams had one or two good players, and teams, every team had an alpha, and he wanted to be the alpha, but the game had evolved and the team had evolved, and yeah.
I met him at my first Nats in 2002. He was a fantastic player all the way back then as well. Like he was one of the first players, and he was actually quite a funny guy back then. And obviously, I've not known what he was like back in Queensland, but yeah, he was probably one of like Queensland's first like dominant players, I guess, maybe besides Pezza.
Definitely. And he was amazing at covering. So without covering, he wasn't quite the alpha that he used to be when he came back as well. So it's a bit different. Okay, and the general level of the competition. Arbel.
Level of comp I thought was really good. And just because it was on Nexus as well, it was a new learning curve for just quite a lot of teams as well. So it sort of made it a bit more even for me in terms of people's skill levels. There was, of course, outliers of teams, but I gave this one a 5.
5. Arbel?
I'll give it a 4. Definitely very strong. I mean, having 2 super elite WA teams, and then having Hobart, really strong on Nexus, Canberra coming through, we were still getting better. The middle group, I feel like we're starting to get a lot better in general than as well. I found in the Cascades, if you're a top 5 team, previously, when you versed 10th or 12th, it was kind of like, an easy game, and that didn't feel quite as much the case. And then, highly competitive. I think the only thing stopping it from being a 5 is if there was a really strong home team. Boom were there, but they were falling off at that point. And I think if Werribee had been a year later and the Werribee guys had had another 12 months to play, it would have been a 5 out of 5 in terms of, difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jake?
Yeah, for me it was a 4. It was from winning most games in Darwin to coming to this one and losing games, like it was a little bit of a reality check, and we had to learn and adapt. So, like for us, it was good competition. It was not a guaranteed win every game, sort of thing. So, yeah.
Yep. Awesome. And I gave it a 4 as well. I thought, similar reasons to what you guys have all given, and particularly just the lack of a strong home team was probably the only thing that kept it from being a 5 in the end.
Agreed.
So awesome. Let's move on to Lonnie. One of my favorite years of all time. Spoiler alert, this is going to get a 5 for fun, all right, this year. I still cannot explain how the arena was so fun to play, despite it having so many flaws in it. It's like this is what I learned about laser tag, is that you don't have to have everything even and winning percentages even from every color and everything for an arena to be fun to play. Like sometimes it's the nuance and the weirdness that is appealing for some weird reason that I can't explain. But Launceston is a testament to that. So it was in Tassie. It was on Nexus, 24 teams, 140 players, 19 women's, 17 masters. And I think, again, both for the last event and this event, I'm starting here at the arena map, and to try and give you a bit of context as to why this was such a weird and different kind of nationals. So that probably doesn't make much sense, especially because it's got source stains still on it, this particular one. I literally had to photocopy an old laminated map to get a map. But anyway, essentially this one on the right hand side is the top floor, and this on the left hand side is the bottom floor. And this was a big part of the issue with this arena. As you can see, this is the refs meeting here, and you had Brett, who was the side op, also a legend of the game. Brett Johnson, he owned Hobart and Launceston for a period of time, was part of the first team that ever won back-to-back. In 2003, 2004. And this upstairs area was where red base was, and blue and green were down in these little bunkers underneath. So essentially red team just showered hellfire down onto anything on the bottom floor, essentially, which made red extremely dominant throughout the tournament. You were either red or not red when it came to color selection. Yeah, and we had these like spots upstairs where people were coming out with ridiculous tag ratios. Like we'll look at the solo ladder later, but one of the things that I noticed today going back over the stats is that you had these players like way down the solo ladder with like 150 to 180% tag ratios because they were just the player on their team that was allocated to take that sniping spot at the top and just shoot everybody going in the front door of blue or green, essentially. So, yeah, it was a really peculiar arena, but for some reason, like I personally enjoyed it thoroughly.
I wonder if that has anything to do with your results there, Bootza.
Possibly. I actually think my results are because I was having so much fun.
Right.
Yeah, and that was a big part of that was, I guess, having Shaz on our team that year. He was always on our team, but for some reason that year I just felt like we were always laughing outside of the arena. We're always having a good time. Like we just had a good group. We had a good group of people that enjoyed
Beefy rejoined our team.
Beefy rejoined our team. Yeah. So and the other special thing about Lonnie was that Adelaide made their return. So they had been out of action since I think 2005. Maybe 2006.
Yes, maybe 2006.
Yeah, and then they made their return under Gizmo's guidance with Tim and a few of the others. We'll get a photo of the team later. And Hark Rage, I think, was on that team as well. So, yeah, that was one of the cool things about that as well. So, yeah, Ibo, what's special about this year for you, mate?
This year was special. I guess the standout thing to me was it was very bittersweet in that this year was the year that we probably could have and we didn't. The Maroons. The previous years, we were always competitive, but we probably weren't at that level of those top teams. Whereas I felt in 2012 that was going to be the year. Obviously, we probably talk about the injury incident. We can touch on that later, and or the what ifs, but. Yeah, it's probably the standout to me.
Yeah. Arbel, what was special about this year for you?
This was probably one of my years where I had my first real run of successes. I had I made all the side event finals. I actually was starting to play a lot better than I had been in the past. And this was when the Raiders were really starting to sort of find our groove as a team because we'd formed a couple of really settled as a group, the team we had, and we were happy with how we were playing. And yeah, we ended up finishing fourth, just missing finals in the last Golden game. But it was just good bunch of guys to play with. So yeah, it was that, and that was probably about it, really.
You were on Raiders that year?
Yeah, I was on Raiders.
Yeah. The Raiders guys were great that year.
Raiders were so good that year.
Yeah. It was the first year you guys were really right up there?
Yeah, it was the year before we'd finished mid-table 12th or something like that. And this is when we'd finally started clicking and really just playing well together as a team. We did have Mackie B that year, and he's a big help. I think he was almost top of the solo ladder that year. He was just fantastic. So good year.
Yeah. How about you, Mr. Jake?
We're on a high. It was our, potentially our second year in a row. So we obviously just come off a win, and socially it was fantastic as well. Arena was great. It's not much more to say. It was just we were just on a high from the previous year. So, it was the first year I made a doubles finals as well. That was a bit controversial, but
what happened?
Pretty sure there was a problem with bases in the finals, and most people didn't want to replay it, but we did.
No, was that the broken glass game?
No.
That was Burleson.
I know exactly what happened in this.
That's when you and Shaz turned it around, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
this was blue base, wasn't it? Blue base wasn't working.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened is, we had an okay first couple of games. Like we were still in contention. So I think it was the third game of the grand final in doubles. Myself and Shaz rock up against Chunky and Slimy at blue, and they proceed to like completely annihilate the hell out of us and take both of their bases and piss off. And we were like way behind, and we're like, oh shit, okay, this is not good. We played about another couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden, game ends, and we're like, oh, what happened there? Blue bases crashed. We've got to restart the game. Like, oh, okay. So they restart the game. Shaz and I go back down to blue. Chunky and Slimy rock back up to blue again, except this time the exact opposite thing happens. We take them out, get both of our bases, and then get ahead of them in the base race essentially, and proceed to go on and like have I think it was our best game of the final essentially. And it just goes to show like the fine lines that are in laser tag, like the difference, like two finalist opponents completely annihilate each other just in like 2 minutes. One event happens 2 minutes after another event. It's like, yeah. So, and that would have influenced results actually. Like if we had kept the original game.
Put us in third out of instead of fourth. So,
because I think I looked at the final results, there wasn't much in it, was there? Between the top few teams.
No, pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. So, yeah, that was a thing. And then this one here, I just thought another little thing that happened. We were filming a doco that year. That was Kev's missus, who was a film student, came and did a whole bunch of filming. And that, my friends, is a doco you will never, ever lay your eyes on because it did not turn out very well. So we got it a year later. It took them a whole year to produce it. And then when we got it, I'd never seen a copy of it before, but we just put it on at the drinks night at Canberra, and I'd never watched it before, and yeah, it didn't go down so great. So that has been hidden away in the vault, never to be released again.
Hey, but it was the early days. It was the early days of the media integration, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were trying.
You gotta crack a few eggs, or what's the saying? Crack a few eggs, make an omelet.
Yep.
Yeah. I took a GoPro and put it on a helmet as well that year, but didn't. It's too dark. We were figuring stuff out at that point about what we could film, what we couldn't film. Arcane in the early days, up and coming player, Axis, this guy, young Gustus, Robo,
he's very young.
Mixon. That was he looks exactly the same, doesn't he? It hasn't changed.
Strangely, yes.
Blossom around already. It was the early years, but she was doing it. That was the Lord of the Rings final. So, elite dude for anybody out there is actually Fitzy.
Mm-hmm.
That's Murrow and CV.
So that wasn't the final.
Oh, wasn't it?
The final was played in the shed, but that was a replay of a final game when they had the local councillor or some local.
It was a tourism guy, wasn't it? The tourism guy
local
came in.
tourism dude, and the papers were down, and he played so that this was like an exhibition game, and then there was I think he played a game against Dalton.
Yeah, he played Runt and somebody. Yeah, and Fitzy. Rep. So Rep was the best female player during all the early years. She was amazing. Her and Raven were regularly the dominant female players. And Rep was like one of the early female players to play with like that real level of intensity. Like she's super competitive, very skillful. She really held her own big time. And she won a women's or two along the way, I'm pretty sure.
I think she's got like a total of like 8 women's trophies. She's won 1 or 2, but yeah, she's got a lot.
So that was the results going into finals. So yeah, Knights were right up there. All right, so Ibo, do you want to tell the story, mate?
Yeah. So do we have after Cascade 1 data? So it was towards the end of Cascade 1, wasn't it?
No, it was the end of Cascade 2. It was the third game before the finish of the Cascades.
Yeah, that's right. So it was like we
had to play the last 2 games.
Yeah, the second or third game. Yeah. So basically, we were looking okay. we were in the mix, right? It was really tight. The Knights were a little bit ahead, but there was really not much separating everyone else. And the second or third game of the Cascade 2, we're playing Bendigo, I want to say. Bendigo Blitz. And that year we made the decision to only go with 5 players, and we would take the risk of injury. And in one of the Cascade 2 games, Maghands had a collision in the arena with another player, and basically had his head split open pretty badly. So the game was aborted, and Cairns was taken to the hospital, and obviously the show had to go on. So while Cairns was taken away from us, we had to continue playing the pointy end of the competition with 4 players. And I wish we had the game by game for it, because I feel like we didn't win any of those games, but we come really we were close. We were close, and we were doing it with 4 against top 5, top 6 teams. And
so there was a game against the Dragons that we dropped by 2K with 4 players, and there was another one against the Falcons, which was about 3K, I think, from memory. So we were and we only needed for one of them to be a second for it to mean 3 spots on the ladder.
Yeah.
So
we would have sort of gone in third, and had a good couple of cracks, and it wasn't to be. And then in the System D, it's obviously just very hard. It's very hard to win that many games consecutively, and then have to not have color choice when color choice is so critical. When color choice meant everything red, you didn't win from not red until the finals.
You guys were definitely a finalist team that year, in my opinion. Definitely.
Thank you, Jakey.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
No worries.
It doesn't make it hurt anymore.
Yeah, I've actually got the film of that somewhere. I've got to dig it up. There's the whole Mad Cant's coming out of the arena. With
and he was like, just put a bandage on and send me back in.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a bit of controversy around it, because he just wanted to play, but obviously, the operators had a duty of care to ensure that he was not concussed or anything. It was a big hit.
Yeah. So after that, we actually changed what we did. We always took a first aid kit into the kit up room with us for a bunch of years, so that we could patch ourselves up if we needed to. Because once you leave that kit up room, you can't go back in again. So, yeah. How about you, Jake? What were your big stories from 2012, mate?
I think outside of the arena, it was just the social aspect, because I think it is now we were more well known. So basically, most nights we had people back at our place having barbecues, having drinks. So just the social factor was higher in Launceston for me. So no real super standout stories. Oh, there was one. Yeah, there was one game we won with 0 bases, and each other team had 5. But we were red, so go figure.
It's a very Knights thing to do. Like, let's go test if we can win from up here by not getting any bases.
Well, we were like, right, so if our base goes down once, we're going to dump. Our base didn't go down, so we never left, and we still won. It just went to show how dominant it was. Pretty sure it was a Yahtzee as well, 1-5. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And what was unique about this one? Well, I guess while we're talking about that is that, and this is like, I always had so much respect for you guys and for Slimy, but what you guys did in the grand final here was like genius, really, because Red didn't win a game in the grand final after dominating the entire comp. Like, you could not win a game from not Red throughout the whole comp, and then it proceeded to lose all games of the final. And yeah, what did you guys do, Jack?
I think your knowledge of that is a bit better, because I thought we just did what we did every other game, and that was not be blue or green and be red. So if you've got a better insight, feel free.
Well, I had to ask Slimy in the dinner afterwards, and he said, basically, I wasn't going to get caught. I said to the guys before the game, we're not going to get caught down here on the bottom floor. Let's go straight upstairs. So you guys like dumped green and went straight to red in the first game and just stayed up there. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's what happened in your blue game as well, but
I 100% dare say that was, because actually, now you mention it, yeah. So each time the four of them would go off, I would stay back and just sort of hang in one of those little back boxes and just tuck right in and make myself not known to the people. And usually someone would run in and start shooting the base, and I'd get a 1 to 2 shot deny off the bat, and then I'd go and join the boys, or hang around for a little bit. They'd shoot it again, I'd deny them again, and then bugger off. So, and then it just became that. And then I would basically became a 4-1, I think, at that stage, where they'd be at red, and I'd just be in that opposite corner to red up on the mezzanine, just stopping whoever was there, because you had to have someone there or you would just get annihilated across the arena.
So he was red base on the top floor, and you'd always have somebody sitting over here. That's
no, further over
there.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. And they also had a shot directly into blue base, I think it was, down here.
Yep.
And we had one of our.
You can shoot in the green. So
I remember we had one of our brand new players come out with 19K sitting up there. It was our first year. She was only like 14 or something like that. She came out of the game with 19K. Yeah, in that spot. So
Launceston totally broke the solo ladder.
Solo
ladder. It was like, I saw there was like 25 or 30 players that averaged 10K in that base.
So essentially what happened in solos finals is that you had a group of people dueling in here, a group of people dueling up here, up here, up here. So all four corners had a group of people dueling, and then there was a few people dueling on the bottom floor. And essentially the way the rankings worked is whoever dominated their corner was either first, second, third, or fourth, or fifth. And Hybrid dominated the bottom floor, and he got third. So out of those 5 spots, that's how everybody ranked pretty much. So it was just, and if you had it also came down to a bit of luck, because some of the phases could get the shot all the way across really easily, and some of them were like not that strong. So if you and I remember in solos finals, I got the same pack 3 times in a row by random distribution. I got the same pack 3 times in a row. So I consider myself very lucky for the solos in 2012. How it turned out, I had a good pack that could shoot all the way across the arena, essentially.
I suppose we should probably cover off the results then.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Werribee, bloody Lonnie, keeps it going between tabs. As we know, the Knights took that one out. In second place were the Canberra Falcons, who surged up late, because I believe most of the competition, it was the Dragons that were ahead on the ladder, right? And then the Falcons kind of surged through it and made the finals. And then the Hobart A team coming in third, which from memory as well, they forgot an empty base and it cost them the second. I wouldn't have got them the first, but they forgot an empty and it cost them the second. Solos was won by Bootza, and he just explained how. Second place was Slimy, who was obviously on one of the other corners, and third place Hybrid downstairs. Doubles was won by Bootza and Shaz. Second place Bullet and Hybrid, and in third Captain Darkzone, who I think was Mackie B.
Yep.
And Snake, who joins us now. Triples, Damo, Slimy, and Psych won that. Bootza, GMI, and myself in second place. That was also my first trophy, so that was probably something I forgot to mention earlier. It was quite special. I was a slow starter. It took me 4 years to get my first finals appearance and trophy, so that was big deal for me then. And then in third place, Hybrid, Mad Cans, and Shaz. Masters was won by Bootza. Don't even know why they let you play that, mate. But Garn in second and Dragon in third. Women's was Frop, no surprise there. Simi Bear in second and Rep in third. And it was the first year of Lord of the Rings. So, Elite Dude, who most people now know as Fitzy, took out the inaugural Lord of the Rings title with in second place, and CV taken out third. And we'll see a lot more of and CV in the Lord of the Rings in the upcoming years.
Awesome. Alrighty, guys. Let's do a quick run around for Arena 5-star rating. Ivo?
Arena rating, 3. I didn't like that you were red or not red, but there was some unique elements to it. It was kind of a half base evac, like it technically was base evac, but it never applied to the entirety of the bases. It was fine.
Yeah, Jake.
Yeah, it's probably a 2 for me, just because again, red or not red. Yeah.
Cool. Arbel.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Ivo. It's a 3. Red just made it too weird.
Yeah, and I gave it a 3 as well. I couldn't deny how much. That's only because it was so fun. It got a 3. Otherwise, it would have been a 2. But
It was
too fun.
It was a fun arena to play.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
balanced.
All right, and for the fun factor of the comp, Ivo.
I'll give this one a 3 as well. The venue was outstanding. Up until this point, it was easily the best venue that I'd been to in terms of how much room there was, stuff to do. But there wasn't anything nearby the venue. You couldn't just zip down the road and get something to eat. I remember having to travel a fair bit to get out there. It was sort of like in an industrial estate. So yeah, just good standard run of the mill Nats. There was good things, there was bad things. Give it a 3.
Cool. Jake.
Yeah, I'm at a 3 as well. Socially, it was great. But yeah, just an overall, I don't think it was well up there. So, I mean, it was the first year I played handball, so that's a bonus. The amount of sunburnt bodies that came in from playing that outside was ridiculous.
Good. And Arbel.
Yeah, I gave this one a 4 because this was the year we started doing really good in the maze and outside of the maze too, because we really started all clicking in the maze. So it was just, it was a good fun year for me.
Cool. And I gave it a 5 just because of reasons spoke earlier. Okie dokie. And the level of the competition, Ivo.
I will give this one a 4. We've got prime WA Knights, prime Hobart, playing sort of at home, but not really. We were pretty bloody good then too. The Raiders had come up out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but they definitely, ascended to that top level. So, yeah, I'm reserving 5s in terms of competition for some real special ones. So this is I think this is as sort of as close to a 5 as you'll get.
Yeah. Jake?
Yeah, so 4 for me. Just some good solid games, good solid competition. Yeah.
Very good. Arbel?
Yeah, 4 as well for me. Pretty much the exact same reasons as those covered off already.
Solid 4s all round for the level of competition at Launceston. Awesomonium. All right, boys, we're going to wrap that up. We're going to move on to Canberra. The last year that the Knights graced us with their presence. It was a Nexus comp. We had 24 teams, 136 players, 21 women's, 19 masters. What was special about this year? Well, there'll only be one ever Lord of the Squares year.
That's right.
So it was Lord of the Rings played in a square, which created a whole bunch of isms and things. People standing in the square and putting their leg like way out in front of them, so people couldn't get near them in the corner of the square. Now, was there no base-evac in this arena as well?
There was no base-evac. I think there was a couple of spots. Was there some spots?
Definitely not at blue. Red, maybe, because it was that central base, but I can't even remember there being one.
No,
I don't think there was.
The spots that I'm thinking about were the non-stopping zones that you had to.
Yeah.
That's
once you
right.
stepped into it, you had to walk all the way through, and you couldn't turn around and come back out of it.
Mm.
Yep, you're correct.
So yeah, that was pretty much for me. I felt like, for me personally, the story was, I guess this was the most disappointing year for me in terms of like just didn't perform on an individual and a team level. Like we just weren't quite at the level that year. And it was a hard year as well because we had a really strong home team. So like, it was really impressive what the Knights were able to do.
2 pretty strong home teams.
Yeah, they both made the grand final, didn't they?
Yes. First and third, respectively. So,
yeah. So that's me. How about you, Arbel? What was special about this year for you?
2013. We started off this year really good. Like after round robin, I think we were up towards the top 3, but then we just sort of plateaued, and we couldn't really couldn't really get it going. This was because for me this is also a bit of a special one because my first ever nationals was Hobart back in 2002, so returning to where I'd started. Funny thing is, I said I was going to retire after this one, but clearly that's not sat well with me. But yeah, I just yeah, it was a good comp without being a great comp for me. This one.
Yeah. How about you, Ivo?
Honestly, I don't think about this Nats much at all. If I'm being frank, definitely not one of my favorites. I guess all I could say is that in this one, 2013 individually is when I started to feel like I wasn't dragging the team backwards, and probably when I started to come into my own as a player. It was just really poor timing that we couldn't put it together that year, and I couldn't help us. But you know the arena was the comp was the vibes just weren't as good for us. All in all, pretty forgetful, which I hate to say, but yeah, I don't want to lie.
Yeah. How about you, Joe?
So level of comp was pretty good. I was pretty happy with all that. Probably standout points were outside of the arena. Well, in the arena was obviously coming off a back-to-back win and going for a three-peat. If we hadn't won the year before, that was it. We were done. We weren't playing again. So the only reason we played again was to go for a three-peat. But Canberra became more of a year of shenanigans amongst WA teams and, taking each other's
I forgot about that.
cards and pranking, filling 100 cups and putting them all over the stairs into people's apartments and just egging people. And just
I remember that we zip tied your guys' furniture, and then when we left the scissors on the table, zip tied together.
Yeah, that's right.
That was so much. Oh, we zip tied. We'd actually literally picked up the couches and zip tied them to the railing on the staircase.
That's right.
We were having
the year of shenanigans.
So much fun.
It was fantastic.
Sorry, outside the arena. Forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me, dude.
No, it's all good. And then, placing in finals for triples as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool beans. All right, and then this is the stats. Right, so Nufa had an amazing year. He was topping everything. Nufa was probably at his peak at this point, you'd say.
Yeah.
Who else was in there that was performing this year? Just all the usual suspects, pretty much.
There was one player, and I'm very disappointed this was his only year. And
is it Burritos?
Burritos.
Yeah.
See him there at 15th. He got second in Lord of the Rings, and I remember he was being touted as this amazing timer. He was, and he was, but then he disappeared into the ether and never came back. I don't know what happened.
Wasn't it? Yeah, I think he disappeared because I think soccer was his
go-to.
His go-to, I think.
Okay, yeah, because he was an amazing player.
At Werribee, he would just casually walk through the arena and he looks at you, you die. So.
Yeah, wowzers. All right. So what can we say about the arena? Is there anything more to add about the arena? So I don't know. Red was dominant again. We had for anybody that hasn't sort of seen the base stats over the last 20 years, we had this run where Red was just dominant every year. And this is right in the middle of it. So we'd had Darwin, then we had Launceston, and I think even at Werribee, Red was the highest winning base. Then it happened again here at Canberra because it was kind of in between green and blue, so it had good access to field points. It was very easy to get denied there because you had green people pushing up and you had blue people pushing up all the time. So if you're going for the base, you're always at risk. And people, because there's no base back, people just come out of nowhere. And all these little lines on the wall there, all little grills that people could shoot through. So that created a whole bunch of frivolity as well.
It feels like Red shouldn't be the strongest in this maze simply based on its position, though. You feel it should get squeezed too much, but it was still stronger.
I think when it's really hard to take a base clean, it can be it's like Red at Sunny Coast. It was you would get a lot of firsts and thirds because it looks like it shouldn't be so strong, but in the right situation, it's really strong when there's a lot of people trying to push on it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You got to go through it to get to the other base, pretty much. So,
what were the base stats there, Arbel? Who won the most? Was it blue, red, green, or
at this maze?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was red.
Red was pretty dominant.
It was red, blue, green.
Okay. Yeah,
so I remember green was the weakest.
All right. So for us, I think we favoured blue over red, because we got one of our picks. We got shafted to green, and then we smashed that game. And then I think Hobart went, oh, well, if they can smash on green, so can we. And then they gave us blue, and we were like, oh, thanks, guys, kind of thing. Like, yeah, I loved green and blue. Yeah. And red,
you guys,
you go.
I was going to say, you guys were so amazing in blue, and I think part of the reason was because you guys were probably the most advanced strategically at that point, and blue was so far away. You guys knew how to push really well, and and then retract back on anybody that came to your base.
Yeah, that was my memory of Wank, like just stretching out and using those like just those big bodies, like Simon and Devon were really good at geckoing on the panel, so they just push really far forward, gecko on the panel, and you'd have to cop 2 or 3 DACs to get behind them, and then you're just playing from behind.
And it was always really loud. Like, this is something we learned from you guys, is really loud home comms to like intimidate the attackers. Like if the attackers know that you're so well organized and communicating so well, and that it diminishes their confidence, I guess, in getting a hit on your base, so they usually get repelled quicker. And that's what I remember is every time we went to blue base when Wank were in there, they were just super drilled and loud and switched on, and it was like, and straight away you're feeling, oh, the chances of us getting this base right now are pretty low.
I think it was about being loud, but not obnoxiously loud. So
yeah. All right, Ibo, do you want to take us through some stats? Oh, sorry, no. You
I was going to say, I think Callum mentioned one thing one time in the finals. I think you guys were sitting out the back roller door, which was behind green. I think it was Callum. He came up to me and said, like, I couldn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden there was me as last line. I just started calling comms, and then it was just for the rest of the game. He said the comms were just like loud, couldn't hear anything else, and he goes, "Oh, gave me shivers." I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I'll take it."
Yep. I do remember that. We were out there because we were so devastated about our performance. We were just sitting out there with our heads in our hands. But yeah, that was a good moment to hear you guys going at it.
Cheers.
All right, Ibo, tell us a bit about the results.
Okay, so results. Home team Dragons took out the win, ending the night streak. So Dragons in first place. WA Knights in second in the Canberra sandwich, with Falcons coming in third. So what was that finals like, Jake? Do you just want to touch on it quickly before we keep moving?
Yeah, just a big old sandwich. It was well deserved on both their parts. They worked very hard, and to see them just come up the years and then smash it out, have both home teams in the arena in the finals was good. It was always going to be tough. What were the results? Yeah, so one smashing game did it in for us. So
it's pretty close. Only K average.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on to solos. Nufa taking out solos. From memory, it was quite dominant as well. I remember some nut somewhere. I asked him, so what were you doing in 2013 to win solos? And I think he just said he ran from one side of the arena to the other, and there was no real rhyme or reason. He was just Forrest Gumping it just all the way across the top of the arena, like the entrance side. Just would run to one end, shoot everyone, run to the other end, shoot everyone. No real strategy, just dominance. Second place for solos that year. I'm just getting back into it. Second place was Sunrise, actually. So he did hang around for a couple of years after we mentioned him in 2010, was it? No, 2011. So I think it was the only 2 years he played, but he got second place there. And then Fitzy, your elite dude, in third. Doubles was won by Damo and Syke, with Chunky and Slimy coming second. And that's the second time that those four players had taken out first and second in doubles in just a couple of years. Just shows the dominance of the WA Knights back then, with Gustus and Mini coming in at third. Triples was won by Hybrid, Echelon, and Mushu. Second was Gus, Snake, and Nulfa. And third was Daikius, Sate, and Skull One, some Canberra players. Bootza took out Masters with GMI coming in second, Deutsche coming in third. Women's was Arcane's first women's win of 3 or 4 straight, I think. Rep coming second, Lycan coming third, Lycan from New Zealand. Lord of the Rings, or Lord of the Squares, sorry. Guinea winning that Lord of the Squares and never ever living it down. Although congrats to Guinea for finally winning an actual Lord of the Rings event just recently. But he took out that Lord of the Squares, with second place being Burritos and Ninja in third.
So I'm hovering on this photo because we have to check out a young gunner.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh
Look
my
at that face.
God.
Remember those Mad magazines from the 80s and 90s?
Oh
Yeah,
my God. Yeah.
It totally looks like that guy, eh?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's Burritos on the right-hand side. There.
Mhm.
Might I mention with Damo winning doubles that he completed a Grand Slam?
Oh, yep.
Right. That was the other Canberra
Yes.
team that year.
He was.
And a couple of young New Zealand crew as well. And also Canberra was the first time we saw a couple of Albury players come along to visit, I think. And then Albury played, I think, their first year in 2014 as the Bad Wolf.
They did.
There we go. So we're going to move on to 2014 now, guys. All right. We're still on Nexus. We've got a total of 19 teams. So this was a lower year. The travel to New Zealand was a bit tricky for some people.
Sorry, Boots.
Yeah.
Sorry, Boots. Did you want to do your ratings still last year?
Oh, sugar. Yes, sorry. We'll get through the ratings. Missed that. Oh, thank you for that, Arbs.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Arbel, arena rating.
That's all right. Yeah. I'm only going to give this one a 2.5. I just felt it didn't really flow well as other mazes. It was good. Okay, just not that great.
Meh. Ibo?
I'm going to give this arena a 3, only because I thought I played well in it, and that's its purely redeeming factor. Is I wasn't completely trash at it, but yeah. Otherwise, it'd be sitting in a low 2 or a 1.
Right, Jake?
Yeah, I'm sitting in the low 2 or 1s. Just wasn't the most fun arena. I mean, we played it well, but it just a few things here and there didn't make it overly enjoyable.
Cool. And I gave it a 3 as well, just because I still enjoyed my laser tag, but it certainly wasn't my favorite arena. Okie dokie. Fun factor, Arbel.
Yeah, I'm glad Jake reminded me, because outside the arena we had some good laughs where we were all staying. So I'm definitely have to put that up to a 4 for the fun factor, purely because of that.
Ibo?
I'm giving it a fun factor of 1. And that's not a knock against the site or the organizer or anything. It's just my personal experience there wasn't great. We didn't have the banter that sounded like WA had, the fun, the practical jokes and stuff in our accommodation. I don't think there was anyone staying near us really either. So the social element was just gone. The venue itself was obviously not the largest venue, so it was either cramped or you had to go outside, and there just wasn't much to do. I just didn't feel like the social vibes were nearly what, in my experience, the same as the other years. So, and because we performed badly, that probably doesn't help my view on it. So I'll have to give it a 1.
Yeah. Jake?
Yeah, it was a 4 socially, definitely for Arbel's mentioned. Yeah. It's only not a 5 because Ibo cracked me in the head with his phaser and made me.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I checked on you though, man. I checked on you.
Yeah, you did. And then I just stayed away from refs for the rest of the game because I didn't want to be seen with blood dripping down my forehead.
Yeah, that's right. It was like right here.
It was like,
right
somewhere.
like right up there.
Nice.
Very nice. I can't believe your fun factor isn't higher, Ibo, with that story.
Oh yeah, I have a blast just like taking out Jay, giving him a concussion. That's what I live for.
All right, and level of the comp, Mr. Arbel.
Probably just give this one a 3. Because yeah, I mean the Raiders still performed well. I believe we got the last golden game, but I don't know. It felt like there was a bit of a gap, more gap. Like it seemed like a lot of the level of competition had got out of it a bit in terms of gaps between the mid and top tiers.
Cool. Ibo?
I'll give the level of competition a 2. 2 strong home teams. You know, obviously WA Knights were good. Hobart A were okay, but arguably not as good as they had been. We were awful, and then yeah, when you look at some of those other teams starting to get around in that top group, the Jaguars, Sabres, like, you know, Werribee weren't particularly great that year, but they were still up there with it. Yeah, I don't think it was a hugely competitive year. Give it 2.
Yep. And Jake?
Yeah, so it was fun, but I feel like there were 4 top teams, or 2 strong home teams, and then 2 outside teams. So yeah, about a 3.
Yeah, and I've given it a 3 as well. Alrighty, we're ready to move on to Mount Wellington. Our first trip to New Zealand. Here we are. Whoopsie daisy. So yeah, I went through all the stats just a minute or so ago. Yeah, what was special about this? Let me check my notes. So yeah, it was our it was the first year that the New Zealand teams were in the top group. So we'd had New Zealand come to nationals since 2009. But yeah, they were 2008. Sorry. Yeah, they were kind of finding their way, as a lot of new sites do, for the first couple of years, and then finally 2014 we get a chance to go to their home deck and play them on home soil, and yeah, they were great. Obviously won it that year, so that was pretty cool. Also did some numbers on women competitors as a percentage of the overall comp, and this is where it peaked. So we had 18% of our competitors this year were female.
Oh, wow.
This is the first year we didn't have any Knights, so it was a bit of a changing of the guard year as well. And we also had Albury here for the first time, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, and just on a personal level, this was like the first comp after Worlds. We'd just played Worlds, and I think, I don't know, you might agree, if you agree, Ivo, I felt personally like Worlds was a big
Are you sure? I thought Worlds was after Mount Wellington.
Oh, was it?
I'm pretty sure it was New Zealand Nationals, then Worlds, then Bendigo.
Okay. I just remember 2014 being like a big year in terms of our development. Like I felt like
100%.
we were so disappointed with 2013. I think after 2012, we probably thought we were just going to rock up and it was all going to happen again. And like, I think, and not, 2013 for us to learn like what the ingredients we need to win in terms of training and vibe and all the things. And yeah, 2014.
It turns out all we were missing was not having Wank there. Like that was the missing piece. That was the missing piece.
As soon as they left, we made a final. Fun.
Out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was a cool year, and also personally, I think the arena was awesome. Like this was an amazing arena. Loved it. Loved this arena. So yeah, Jake, were you at 2014, Jake?
Yeah, the only year I've missed has been the last Hobart Nats.
Yeah. So you were playing with which team this year?
Raiders.
Oh, good Raiders.
With the Raiders this year, that's right. I've actually got a photo of that somewhere. There. Oh no, not that one. Down here. There you are.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a good team.
It was good fun. It was it was fun to just take a step back and sort of chill out, but still obviously be competitive and whatnot, because Raiders had been for such a long time. Well, since Lonnie and whatnot. So yeah, it was nice to just ease off a little bit, not have to do much thinking, just play. And yeah, the arena was fantastic. So Yeah, I think we didn't make finals. We got knocked out, and I was like, oh, this is what it feels like.
Oh man,
What's losing?
talk about first world problems.
Yeah, I think this year was now the beginning of me living in the past. So
I remember. I remember I put this early in this Mount Wellington slides because of the rankings after Cascade 2. Right the way down to 6th, there was only 1 point separating us.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
it was close.
Yeah, I remember this is like the closest year between the top group.
and the
then,
averages
of course,
were all quite close.
Yeah, and the Cobras and the Silverbacks were on top. Yeah, it was a awesome competitive year.
This was the year the Cobras doing a ridiculous amount of training all the time. I think I remember.
I don't think it was this year because this was their home Yats.
Okay, all right. I must be wrong.
I could be wrong, but they probably did.
I thought 2015. Yeah, 2015. I think they had like 27 unallocated hours or something ridiculous.
And they had something similar at 2016, which we'll touch on later. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Arbs? What was special about this year for you?
Yeah, it was a good year because the Raiders were still mostly the same team. Obviously, we got Jake in on our team, and we were still competitive. We were still up there. We had fun in and out the arena. Like we really gelled well with actually the Silverbacks team and hung out with them a lot outside of the arena as well, which was fun. A personal note, one of my favorite parts in this one was the triples game because I really didn't get that triples format properly. That you were still getting denied because for those that didn't know, the triples format was those rotating targets, and so you'd shoot it and it would disappear and show up somewhere else,
yes.
and you had to. There were 6 of them. There were 6 different colors, but they moved around 25 different spots in the arena. So you had to shoot them all. I didn't realize you could you were losing points for there were still denial points, and so at the start of the game, I was on that middle ramp there in the middle of the photo, and I could see like 5 targets, and so I was just shooting all of them. And I came out of the game with -1 exactly, and I was like, oh. But no. But I remember telling Doug about it. I was like, oh, Doug, look at that, a perfect -1. He said, yeah, that's only because I didn't teach the system how to count lower.
Oh, no.
So I was like, oh, was my score bad? He said it was pretty bad. So yeah, it was learned a lot that year after that game.
Yeah, it was. It's awesome, Ryan. You can't see it on the map here, but this section here was red base here, and you could actually this little panel here where the cursor is, you could actually get your shoulder inside of it. I'm pretty sure that was the one, Ivo.
Yeah.
That was when Beefy first developed his hold on that panel.
Yeah.
With the the high hold as it is now, so because people weren't doing that before then. And I remember I was reffing finals, and I remember lots of people were just sort of looking at Beefy, and I was in there. I was like, he's fine. He's mastered this.
Yeah, so we had a bit of an advantage all the way through until the grand final when Dark Passion knew exactly how to get him out every time. So I just walked through him each time. We're like, oh my God, our defense that has stood up the entire comp is now not standing up anymore. What's going on? But yeah, I mean, you had red here. There was a ramp that went down to the bottom floor. There was only one base on the bottom floor, which was blue, which we can't get vision on here. And then you had all this maze outside of red to duel in to get into red. This was green base over here. This is corner. There were a few shots across, but not a great deal. It's like you had to really go in to compete at the other base. There wasn't like long shots onto base doors or anything like that. So it was just, and as you can see, it's just a straight up arena. Like it's just the quintessential like L's and straight walls and Z's and just and Y's and all that kind of stuff. Just a straight up cool laser tag arena. And it was all these ramps and everything were kind of multi-level. So there was all these platforms that were like kind of at different levels. So you'd call it a multi-level arena. And they all had these bridges that joined both sides of the arena. It was just cool. It's just really fun arena to play.
They made a good use of space, kind of like what Launceston potentially could have been if you had some cross ramps and whatnot.
Oh yeah, that would have Lonnie with that concept would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ibo, anything special about this year for you, mate?
Yes, absolutely. This was a very special year because after 5 years of trying, we made the finals.
Yeah.
Most teams don't wait 5 years to make the finals. Most teams make the finals after 2 or 3, right? Like, or straight away if you're like
Or
the
one.
Wolfpack. Or one, yeah, 100%. Or they never make the finals, But we finally did it after being so close so many times. We finally made the finals. And proceeded to get destroyed in said finals, but we were there, and that's all that matters. But yeah, making the finals for the first time, it felt like years and years of heartbreak finally sort of were worth it.
And the story from that was the Cobras. They had 3 shots, didn't they? And so I'm just looking at their numbers.
Yeah.
They gave us red, I think. Because going into the last Golden game, or whichever Golden game we got, we were like, shit, like, yeah, the Cobras have color choice, and we were outside just trying to think about what we were gonna do, and then they come to us and we're like, yeah, you got red. We're like, wait, what? Like, that's how it went, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got because they got nervous because they kept losing on red, so they ended up giving us red, and then we went in and won on red. I think. I don't know if that game's actually sitting on this grid. I don't think I fitted it on, but yeah, that's what happened. The poor old Cobras bundled out after being so dominant the whole comp, because they were actually on top of the ladder, I'm pretty sure, for periods of time throughout the week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. What have we got here? Some of the other New Zealand teams. There wasn't many photos from 2014. Just got dorky. All right, Arbo, do you want to take us through some results, mate?
Yeah, 100%. So 2014 Mount Wellington was won by the Silverbacks, New Zealand, appearing in their first finals and winning at home. Silverbacks were the Mount Wellington home team. Hobart A coming in second place. I think this was they were just really dominant on Nexus at this point, and then Maroons getting trashed in the finals, but coming in third. Solos was won by Ling Ling, and CV in second place. So Hobart taking it first and second in the solo event, just sort of backing up that pack dominance that they had. Mini coming in third. Doubles was won by CV and Leper. Again, more Hobart domination. Arbel and Mushu in second place. And then Drake and Ace. So that was a mixed team. Drake from WA and Ace from New Zealand. Triples was won by Gustus, Nufa, and Sinea. Second place was Bootza, Robo, and GMI. And third place was Wazza, Yavin, and Garn. Masters was won by Guardian, with Garn in second and GMI taking a back seat for once and coming in third. Women's Arcane wins her second on the trot. Lycan, another New Zealand player, coming in second, and Cougar Essel, now known as Raven, coming in third. CV took out Lord of the Rings, and then I got second, which was pretty cool. My first solo side event trophy, and Moldy from the Cobras in third.
Yeah. Guardian gets his Masters this year. It was pretty cool. See guards get that. With what you touched on a little bit with the Hobart thing, mate, like through this whole period, Hobart was so good on the packs. Like, yeah, we always felt like, strategically, sometimes I'd make some mistakes and it didn't matter. Like they would just get over the top of us on pack dominance, and they kept getting the edge on us each year around this time. And yeah, we didn't have the packs, but that was no excuse because the Knights didn't have the packs either, and they kept winning things. So that was what made your results so remarkable through that period as well, was that you were able to do it without having the packs. But all right, let's do our quick ratings. Arena rating for this one, Mr. Ibo.
Look, I thought it was great. I think you guys think it's better than me, so I'm just going to settle on a 3. I think there was a little bit too much distance between some of the bases, a lot of time lost traveling between. But it was super fun, so I'll give it a 3.
Cool. Arbel?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 4. I thought it was fun to play on, and like Jake said, they utilize the space really well. And yeah, so that's why I gave it that.
Beautiful. And Jake?
Yeah, 3 for me. Much like Arbel said, they were fun bases, but I think the distance between and just a few other little things like that made it. It was good, but not great.
Cool. Yeah, and I gave it a 4. I might have been a bit swayed because I loved the way they themed it and everything as well. It wasn't overly themed, but it looked really nice and sharp. And as an operator, I was like, "Oh, this is a sexy arena. I'm going to copy some ideas from this." All right, fun factor. Ibo.
4 out of 10. No, 4 out of 5. Sorry, 4 out of 5. Yeah.
When did we go to 10?
Sorry. Yeah, this whole time I've just been negative as. No. No. I had a blast. I mean, it was my first time. It was my first time going overseas. Even though Auckland is arguably just Brisbane 2.0, but yeah, my first time traveling abroad. The accommodation was great. The vibes were good. The site was really well set up to handle lots of teams. Yeah, it was a smaller nat, so it was only 19 teams, but I sort of felt like that mingled us a lot better than some of the larger nats. I had a great time in New Zealand.
And I think we were all in the same hotel or pretty close to each other that year from memory, or there was a heap of teams in the same hotel.
A lot of us were staying in like Manukau, I think was the place we were staying.
Yeah, so that was really cool. Arbel.
Yeah, I give it a 4 as well. We as I said earlier, we had good fun with a lot of the New Zealand guys outside of the maze, and they were showing us around. We went to the bungee jump and the walk around the spire thing. So yeah, we had lots of fun outside of the arena on this one. So yeah, give it a 4.
Yeah, and Jake.
Yeah, same. It was good fun, good vibes outside and in, and yeah.
Trying to pronounce all the New Zealand names.
Yes. Oh, actually, solos. Were you in the solos like blue base?
No.
Thing,
oh, the hold hands. Hold hands, shoot everyone's
hold phases. Yeah,
hold phases, hold everyone's.
There's a whole bunch of us that were like, look, we're in repechage for a reason. So we basically just went and tried to convince everyone in that game to go and just stay in blue base. Don't leave blue base. So just this tiny little portion of arena. And I think the only people that advanced were the people that stayed on the outside and weren't keen on their little party. And yeah, at the start of the game, we stood around like the TARDIS thing and held the person next to us as phaser and basically just shot like 14 people died at exactly the same time. So, yeah, it was just crazy. It was just a bit of fun because we weren't progressing. So yeah.
Yes, I definitely remember the blue party. That was talk of the town that day. All right, level of the comp, Mr. Ibo.
Look, I'm going to give this one a 3. It was 2 decent home teams. Hobart were really, really good. We'd finally come through, but I still think there are some. I have to give it a 3 because I think in some of the years coming up, we're going to see some truly competitive comps. So yeah, it was good, but nothing to write home about, I think.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Arbel.
I was stuck here. I think I'm gonna have to give it a 2.5. Only because obviously only 19 teams. It was the smallest comp it was in a while, and I just felt like beyond those 6 teams, like those 6 teams were all good and about each other, but if the teams below would very rarely take a game off those top teams or even come very close to them because the gap was a bit bigger. So yeah, I just felt the level of comp in amongst those top teams was good, but then yeah, just felt like this was sort of like a tougher year with.
I think to add to your point, Arbel, you're right in that the top 5 or 6 teams were that dedicated. They were going to go anywhere. Like they were going to win, right? And then once you get below that, each team probably has 1 or 2 players who's like, oh, maybe I don't have a passport, or oh, maybe do I want to pay the extra money to go overseas? And so that dilutes those those teams down a little bit with just a couple of players pulling out.
Because for a lot of people, this was probably their more expensive Nats because it was overseas. Your flights are naturally a little bit more expensive, etc. So that could have factored into people not going. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
Cool.
And I'm at a 3 for again the same reasons. It was a good solid sort of top 6, and below that again, basically just what Arbel said. So
yeah, cool. And I've given it a 3 as well for the same reasons. All right, we are ready to move along to Bendigo. First Helios Nats. I've put a special photo there because I think one of the big features of this comp was the show that Benny J put on, who was the operator. We had there was the first year where we had probably the only year really, we've had the glitz and glam. We rocked up to our opening ceremony, and this is the kind of scenes that were had. It was just awesome. Big light shows, laser shows. He had a big stage with all LED feature lighting and stuff like that. It just made the whole prestige of the comp go up a notch this year in 2015.
I just wish it wasn't themed. I just wish it wasn't themed.
Yeah.
It would have been perfect if it wasn't Back to the Future themed.
Back to the Zone.
Yeah. It would have been perfect without that theme.
Yeah. We cracked 30 teams again. So since Werribee in 2011, we'd gone back down into the 20s for most years. And we cracked back up about 30 again this year. 180 players, 31 women's. Huge. This is the biggest women's I think we've ever had from the record books from memory. And 17 masters. And I'm pretty sure this was the return of Darwin this year as well. Darwin, after a few years away, Tricky and Bubbles and the crew had come back for Bendigo. So it was a very special year. Also the first year we broadcasted the grand final live. So essentially what happened is they sectioned off the roller skating rink and started the dinner for all the participants who weren't in the grand final. The grand finalists went and played and were obviously separated and were unable to see any other people or administrators or anything like that in between games. And then we came out of the arena and they still had us separated from the roller skating rink, and they came out and did the announcement outside of the arena. And then once the results were given, we were able to join the rest of the players essentially. So that was new for us at that time. Arcane did a 3-peat from memory. This was the year she did a 3-peat, which was huge. And we had 3 cascades on for the first time, which we can talk about a bit later as well. As well as we had the triples on the roller skating rink too. So there was a lot happening at Bendigo. Jake, did you want to start us off with what was kind of special for you?
Come back to me. I need to have a think.
Yeah, sure. Ibo.
Oh, Bendigo is my favorite Nats ever. So hugely, hugely special. Obviously, the key thing for me was that we finally did it and we finally won one. It's the only time I've ever cried at ZLTAC. And just everything about it. The triples format was great. Aside from the packs being a bit ordinary, the concept was just so rad. Streaming the finals, the venue was just amazing because there was so much more than just ZLTAC to do. Benny Jansen really wanted to make it a spectacle, and I think he nailed it. It's probably the best example of that I think we've ever seen it in that. The arena was solid. I loved playing the arena. I literally don't think I have anything bad to say about this Nationals. And obviously I'm very biased, but I don't know, it was so cool.
Yeah, you can see the photos here. All the lore was done under lights at the. Was it what? Oh, it wasn't at the dinner. No, it was. Did they do a replay at the dinner or something?
No, they did it in the middle of the dinner. It was in the middle.
That's right.
Because Beefy was drinking a beer, Like he like just grabbed a beer in the middle of the finals and just had a swig. Like,
oh gosh. Yeah, so and then of course the triples was a base flags game with inflatable barriers similar to 2022. And there's a shot here of the foyer. So that was the foyer too. So he had such a massive foyer. Everybody was just able to hang around, gas bag. We were all pretty close. Like there was some people out who had little spots set up outside as well, but everybody was like within close range just to like have casual combos and stuff like that. So yeah, everything about it was awesome. Hey, Tricky's back. Yay. Falcos was the guy running the show that year. We got Rep and Katie there as well. But I think one of the big stories we probably need to, firstly, let's finish off everybody else's share. Arbel, what was special for you, man?
Oh, not too much, because again, this is a year that I was absent from.
That's right, you were.
But like, but I was still very much a part of the scene back home, and I kept in touch and everything. And I actually, the one thing I do remember, Jake will probably remember this now that I've said it, was that I almost did get a late call up because on the flight over, Psych was playing and
he ruptured his appendix.
Ruptured his appendix on the flight over while on the plane still, and he was not in a good way, and so he had to pull out of the comp. And so I almost came, but I didn't, and hybrid went at the end. But I found for
day
me
before started,
day before. I found for me for this comp from an outsider's perspective was seemed to be almost like a reset sort of year. Like we've been hovering around the 20 odd team marks. Then last year then the year before in Mount Wellington went down to 19. And then this year back up to 31 teams. You had an influx of whole new players from Adelaide, Darwin to come back. It was made the spectacle it was, as you said, Ibo. So it was sort of like a new generation almost sort of thing of generational players coming together.
I've sort of always considered Bendigo the start of the current modern era.
Modern era,
yeah. I think that's now you guys saying that, it's like I remember walking in for the first time, and after the past few years, sort of going, people coming up to you saying g'day and everyone knowing who you are, I sort of walked in and felt a little bit like the outsider because there were, now, a butt ton of new teams and new faces and players. Like, yeah, it was like you said, Ibo, it was a new sort of generation there. Would have been nice to have played with Psych, but obviously picking up hybrid was good. Just having everything around you, paintball, roller skating. It was good. Good social.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying as well, Ibo, about it definitely felt like the guard, like we'd officially, like a lot of all the old school teams, Boom, Knights, all that were very much in the past now. We had all this, I think the stats on the brand new players was the highest this year as well. We did the sums at one stage, but there was like 40 or 50 brand new players or something this year. It was insane. So, yeah, it was. And Helios, I think we'd only had Helios for a few months at this point. Not even more than 6 months, I don't think we'd had Helios for. So it was brand new to everybody, including us. Like, we obviously had the most time on it. It was equivalent to what we experienced going to Darwin this year. So Hobart had last year, I should say. Hobart had H2 for a few months. We kind of had Helios for about the same point, about the same amount of time at this point. Hybrid was a late call-in for Psych.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that happened was the Werribee thing. So Werribee were clearly the strongest team. I would say clearly, probably clearly the strongest team. It probably wasn't super clear yet, but they were right up there, if not the best.
Definitely could have won it.
Definitely could have won it.
Yeah, agreed.
And they were smashing it in side events. They were just killing it. And then, of course, Gunnar hurt his wrist or broke his wrist.
Broke his thumb.
Broke his thumb.
That's right. And he couldn't play, which meant that they they only had 5 players as well, and they wanted to get another player to fill the spot. It was a really difficult time because I was on the committee, so I had like a massive conflict of interest, but also had a responsibility to make a decision with the committee on whether we're going to allow this player. And what it would have done is essentially have created a precedent, which was we'd never ever allowed a player to be registered after the comp had started. And this was well into the comp by this point. I think it's Cascade 1-ish time, was it?
No, it was 2.
Cascade 2. Yeah, so they had to play like the second half of Cascade 2 with 4 players, and they were still killing it. They were still doing very well. But obviously with 4 players, it just makes a mess. You can't beat the top tier teams. So yeah, poor Werribee missed their chance this year because of that. That all went down, unfortunately. So that was just one of the top teams that was unable to really compete, and really it was pretty light on at the top in terms of because we've had this changing of the guard. So we didn't have a huge top group really. It was really only a handful of teams that were really probably able to win it, and as a consequence, the old Adelaide Respawn basically dumped all the way to finals, and it worked. That's what they did, and it kept working. And because of the nature of the arena, this one here, for whatever reason, dumping seemed to be pretty effective in Bendigo this particular year. So, yeah, this is the arena we played with. How similar was it to 2022 for the guys who played 2022?
I think like a couple of the barriers maybe just flipped around on the spot, but it was basically the same arena, except we didn't play upstairs in 2022.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Doors were the same because they didn't work well otherwise.
Yep. Yeah, like it's one of the very few arenas where when hosting again, there was no real change between the layout of the arena.
Yeah, it's still in my opinion a fantastic arena. So, and not having upstairs made it so much better. Yeah,
because the thing about the upstairs area, what we found in 2015 is that the teams who were competing for the top part of the ladder weren't using it because they realised
we definitely didn't use it.
No, they realised they couldn't win games. They could get one player with a lot of tag ration, a lot of score, but they were just having that. They couldn't defend properly. They couldn't attack properly with that player up there. But there would be teams that would send somebody up there, and they might not win with the player up there, but they would certainly cause you a lot of headaches trying to get into base with a player up there. So, yeah, I was certainly pretty stoked to hear that they'd taken it out for 2022. All right. Has anybody got any other things they remember from this arena?
Oh, I just love the arena, to be honest. I thought it was I like sort of symmetrical or close to symmetrical bases. I think teams really just extract the most out of the maze that way. You know, you just get so good at it because they're all so similar. My only criticism was I wasn't a massive fan of the singular downstairs reload and singular upstairs reload. I think it created like some foot traffic issues, and but otherwise I just thought it was a fantastic arena. I was happy for teams to play upstairs. We didn't really do it unless we had 10 bases and we're just trying to score as many points as possible, but I was happy for people to go up there and try. Thought it added an interesting dynamic, trying to avoid that player while we were downstairs. But 10 out of 10 maze.
Cool. Yeah, I actually this is one of my lower arenas. I didn't enjoy Bendigo as much. It's a good arena, but I'm not into symmetrical bases. One of the big things that I love in laser tag is having bases that are all unique and hopefully is reasonably even, and you can come up with a winning strategy from all the bases. But I didn't like that they were so similar to each other, and also that there was nothing really to hide behind inside the base. So essentially there was no internal base play. It was just all outside. And also I felt like the arena became a bit sameish. So like there was really only kind of one way to set up around the bases. I didn't see a lot of unique setups and strategies in this arena from teams. Yeah. Oh, when I say unique tactics, I should say there were some unique strategies because Adelaide dumped every game, whereas a lot of other teams weren't doing that. So people were playing the arena differently. But when you set up around the base, I just felt like it was very predictable where players were going to be standing, essentially.
Well, my memory of it, Butz, was that the pathing was really key, and the setup before the setup was what was important. That was my memory. It was like, all right, we've got to get to these spots first, and then quickly rush someone to the back door, and then go in. It was like the setup before the setup was important. At least that's how I remember it.
Yeah, and there was a few like key spots you needed to own in order to get set up around the base properly. Yeah. All right. Has everybody said what was something cool about this year? I think we've all chimed in, haven't we?
Yeah.
This year. All righty. So this is the results. Essentially, it was pretty close going into the last game of the grand final. It was anybody's game. I remember going into the last game of the grand final thinking that it was probably anybody's game. I certainly wasn't confident that we were ahead, but then probably about 3/4 through the last game, I knew we were going to win it because Cobras lost their nerve and dumped red base, and we were able to get the cycle on their base. So everybody kind of ended up at our base at the end of that game, and we're able to secure it. Thank you, Cobras, for that.
I don't actually remember anything from the finals except getting a term for swearing when no one else was around, and like the bottom of like this pit in my stomach. So the story was, I'm just standing there by myself doing absolutely nothing, holding a position for, probably only like 45 seconds, but in a grand final game, that's like forever. And I'm just waiting, and then like Cairns dashes around a corner, and we both tag each other, like we double each other, and I'm just going, oh shit, like, and then I got termed. Apparently, I didn't say shit. Apparently, I said something much worse. I don't recall, but my memory is I said shit, and so I did nothing for 45 seconds. Team doubled with mag hands, and then copped a term for swearing. And I just remember being like, man, if that costs us, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
One thing we got to talk about is having the third cascade. So this is a year that I learned that I don't think 3 cascades is a great idea. So Blue Steel finished in second place, and I think after Cascade 2, they were down here somewhere, 10th, 11th, or 12th.
After Cascade 2, Blue Steel were 8th.
8th, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially what happens, you can see how compacted in certain parts of the ladder.
The points are very compacted, so that there was that magical zone of like 8th or 9th where your draw was like you'd only be maybe 4 comp points behind the top 2 or 3 teams, but then you'd be playing like 15th in a game in a Cascade 3. The draw was just so much easier. I remember that the Blue Steel did that magic run. I think they went 6 from 6 in their Cascade 3.
I remember Flash because this is Flash's second year, and he was playing with the Jets that year, and he says the same thing. They were sitting in 12th. And they ended up going ahead of the Raiders up into 6 after Cascade 3 because they were in that 12th spot. They said, they'd have to play any of the top teams and just go dream run. So I think 3 cascades doesn't really work.
Yeah. All right. Ibo, do you want to run us through some results, bro?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2015 teams event was first place. Brisbane Maroons finally do it after many years of trying. Take out first place. New Zealand Cobras in second, and Adelaide Respawn, which was probably the biggest. It's not surprised, but it was hugely exciting for them. They weren't up there for the whole comp, and they sort of dumped their way into the finals and leapfrogged a couple of teams. Bootza took out Solos, CV in second, and Daikius from Canberra was in third. Bootza and Wooldot won doubles. Gunner and Dan were second in doubles, and I don't know if Gunner did that finals with a broken thumb. I can't remember if anyone can confirm. Minnie and Gustus were third. Triples on the skating rink, and for those playing at home, triples was a really unique format that year. I mean, it's always a unique format, but it was literally just 3-on-3, and it was like a base flags type match on a skating rink with inflatables. So it was won by the home team, and that was denied Fitzy and UB Hayton, with Beefy, Waldot, and myself in second place, and Zone Wolf, Firebird, and Pocket securing the first Albury trophy in third. Bootza won Masters, Mopar come through in second, and Grandmaster Infused in third. And Arcane, as we mentioned before, completes the three-peat in women's, with Rep in second and Gemstar in third. And CV backs up his Lord of the Rings title with another one, with coming in second, and Beefy appearing in his first Lord of the Rings final of very, 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 very many Lord of the Rings finals to come. He got third that year.
With a broken leg. Or
That's right, yeah, he torn calf muscle.
Torn calf muscle.
Yeah, with the torn calf muscle. He got second in triples, first in teams, second in triples, and third in Lord of the Rings on crutches.
He played one game for us, didn't he?
Yeah.
In teams, yeah. Yep. We got him through two bases. He was limping around the arena, but we got him through, and he played his game. So gets a trophy.
Did he injure himself playing triples?
No, it was beforehand. It was like a week before the competition started in training. Yeah. We were just training, and then I remember it happening, and he's like, "Man, it just felt like I got shot in the back of the leg. Like, just felt like a bullet hit him in the back of the leg."
All right, let's give our star ratings, guys. Ibo, Arena.
Arena, I give a 4 out of 5, and it's almost a 5. I just, I'm the opposite of you, I guess. I love the symmetry. I love the pathing. The bases weren't too far apart from each other, but there was enough distance that real decision making went into how you would float. Almost perfect.
Beautiful, Jake.
Yeah, probably a 3.5 to 4. The thing that would have made it higher would have been seeing the bases be less symmetrical. So less the same. So that way you have to be good at 3 bases, not just one, effectively.
Cool. And Arbel?
I didn't play, so I'm in a one.
I did that again.
Did it again.
I've given it a 3. Is there any others you haven't played just before I?
No.
That's it now.
I've played everything now.
We're done. Excellent. And I gave it a 3.5 as well, just because it wasn't quite a 3. I couldn't put it in the same category as my other 3s, but yeah, it's just not quite a 4 for me. So there we go. Fun factor, I've given it 5-star because it was awesome for all the reasons we've spoken about, and we had our first win, which is always a special place in our heart. Ibo?
5 stars for fun. The venue was sick. Go-karts. That when they did that archery tag thing, that was awesome. The food was great.
Quesadillas.
Yeah. Oh, quesadillas, yeah. And Benny Jansen took care of us too, because it was, the price was right.
Yeah.
5, easy 5 out of 5.
Sweet. Jakey boy?
Agreed. Easy 5. Everything on site that you could possibly want to just, fill the time. It was fantastic. I love the live displayed finals. That was great. Just sort of added to the atmosphere. So that was beautiful.
Beauty. And level of the competition, Ibo?
I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5, which may come as a bit of a surprise, but given how new Helios was, there was a hugely clear advantage to anyone who had played it before. The timing difference between Helios and Nexus was quite drastic, so we did see a lot of Nexus players fall off very hard. It was also, I just think the talent pool was diluted pretty heavily, and we just had so many new players come through that, there's always going to be good teams at the top of Nationals, but if I've got to give a 1, and I hate to say it because it's the first one we won, but I'm going to give it to Bendigo.
Yep. Cool. Jake?
Yeah, I'd say about a 3. It was just, it was like the games are good and they sort of flowed, but it's just, it was just very close, very tight, and I think losing Psych sucked. So I just had a bit of a downer as well because it would have been nice to play with him again.
Yeah. I've given it a 3 as well. So just because it was one Werribee couldn't compete at the pointy end because of Gunner's injury, but it was still like there were still top teams there that were hard to beat. There just wasn't that many of them. The talent pool was a bit diluted, but it was an exciting time because it was because of all the new blood that was coming through. So we were fortunate. We just had the new packs at the right time, and at the same time there'd been a transition to the new generation. So we were in the right place at the right time, and then Werribee not being able to compete for the grand final, that kind of really helped us as well. So I kind of felt like everything just fell into line for us for that first year. So, but yeah, the comp was probably a 3-star for the level that year for me. Alrighty, let's move on to 2016. Here we are. So we cracked 30 teams again up in Brizzy. It was at home. It's Helios, 170 players. We played juniors for the first time this year, and 26 of them, 27 women and 17 masters. Big thing this year was just more we spent quite a bit of money just doing interviews, and this is before we'd figured out live streaming essentially. So we're like throwing lots of resources at trying to get more content created essentially. So we had this guy Jono running around, and that guy there from PNC, Jamie, running around doing lots of video and stuff like that. So yeah, that was something that was kind of a bit unique about 2016. It was also the first year that we'd had the volunteer system up and running. So myself and Simi worked together on getting that off the ground, and then of course Simi kind of perfected it and put a lot of work and effort into like building out all the resources and tools for that, and it became the beast that it is today. But yeah, I can remember being at home on a Wednesday at midday, cracking a beer with Beefy, going, I think I'm the first site operator in the history of nationals to ever like be sitting at home midweek and having a beer in the middle of the day, which was a testament to like how far we'd come as a competition. We finally had enough experienced players in the community and enough willingness to all share the load. What didn't need to be on one or a few people. Like, let's do it better. That was the whole thinking. And it was Wolfpack's first year as well, which was special because, Wolfpack was a little bit of a project team in a way. Essentially, they were 2 groups of league players. So you had Lakeo, Grub, and Lakeo and Whamfox were mates, and they would come down to league. And then you had Grub, Wax, and Husky were all mates. And it was like, and they were all 5 of them were talented, really talented league players. And we're like, geez, we've got a home Nats coming up. Imagine if we could get them on a team together. So took them out to Laser Force for a bit of team building, and just sort of said, hey guys, I know you're not 18 yet, but how would you feel about me talking to your parents about, coming to this thing called nationals? And so they kind of asked their parents, and we spoke to their parents, and they got permission to do it, and they jumped on board. And the idea was like, what can happen if you put a talented group of young players in the right training environment, and how quickly can they get to the top level essentially in the modern game?
It turns out that's really, really bloody quickly.
Yes. They did it so fast, and to the point where I think they got 5th in their first pre-nats, and then second pre-nats they got into the final, and then and then they finaling at the nationals. So it was, for me, it was a special year to see that come to fruition. That was the culmination of a lot of years of creating a community in Brisbane and Sunshine Coast that could facilitate that team to go together and be trained in the perfect training habitat for them to get to the top level. So yeah, that was a cool little outcome from all that. All right, I'm going to hand over to you guys now. Ivo, what was special about 2016 for you, bro?
It was great nuts. It was really cool to go back home after many years away, and having to back up after a win. There's always a bit. There was definitely, I had some nerves around that, because I sort of felt like if we didn't win, it was a really bad outcome. Like I felt a lot of pressure to perform, and we did. And yeah, just seeing the ongoing growth, and guys like the Wolfpack coming through, and Cobra still being really strong. Just a sick year, all in all. Yeah, definitely. Probably my second favorite Nats ever after Bendigo.
Cool. Jake, anything special for you, bro?
Just jumping ship yet again and joining a new team. So played for Blue Steel for the first time. Again, much like first playing with the Raiders, it was good to just jump to a new team, sort of figure out how I gelled and work my way in, and it was good fun. Just being a lackey. So doing what I'm told.
Cool. And how about you, Mr. Arbel?
Yeah, obviously I'd missed the 15, and so I was new to Helios, which I enjoyed playing on. It was fine. I was on the Wolves that year, so I came back and was on a team that was towards the lower end a lot of this time, which was also something new. But I enjoyed my time. We had good fun, and it was just a good experience. It was good to see that. It's obviously, as I mentioned last time, about how that new generation of comp had come in. It was good seeing all these new players and just how good they were, considering a lot of them were either at their first or second Nats, theoretically. And it's like, damn, the competition's gotten a lot harder to beat now. Like, and you mentioned Wolfpack. I mean, like, it's they got into the finals this year and they've never not been in finals. Like, it's a pretty awesome dynasty to have for a team coming in straight away and just to continue winning.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the arena for anybody that wasn't there. So I'm trying to remember what the dominant base was. Did we have one?
Green? I liked green.
Yeah, we like green. Probably because we were the only ones who could play this spot properly.
People struggled with blue. I know people struggled with blue.
Well, it's one
it
of those
took me the whole
where...
comp to realize you can shoot the person out from barrels off the floor. It really annoyed me.
And for all you guys at home, there is the videos from this final series up online. Pretty sure you probably just search for ZLTAC Grand Final 2016. But yeah, they were filmed on some nice cameras with good resolution. So you can get those, which is pretty cool. Blue's also tricky because to get the perfect body positioning between the two barrels so you can't get shot from back or front door took a little bit of time to be able to hold it and also then like continue to tag people and get back into position and not be showing a sensor. And Husky was just absolutely amazing at it from the get-go. But yeah, for a visiting player, it can be tricky to figure that stuff out in just a few games. Yeah, I really liked red. You had this little middle part to play between. It's not too dissimilar to what it is now, actually. We got one wall in the middle there now, and the base is over here. And green was upstairs, back when green was upstairs, and this corridor got played a lot. So green and red would push to each other through the corridor a lot. And I think one of the things about our arena that was different was typically, historically, floating out to another base, there was points in the middle between the bases where people could float out from defence and get points around the middle of the arena. But Brisbane didn't do that. In Brisbane, the way to float was to actually just commit. Like if you had a person playing mid, the defender, if there was nobody at home, that mid would just push all the way into attack. And there was ways that you could set up so that you could quickly be peering back to defence and keep an eye. And we always had Beefy usually positioned in a spot where if I could see Beefy across the arena in a particular spot, I knew that we weren't under attack and I wouldn't have to go home. So that's how we kind of played it. And I don't think people could quite pick what we were doing exactly. And of course, because it was our home arena, we knew exactly when to push and stuff like that. And yeah, I felt, it gave us a pretty big advantage because it was what we hadn't really had a Nats that played like that yet. It was a pretty unique style of play that we were used to. Anything more to add about the arena, boys?
Just to add to your point, Boots, I think particularly upstairs, the really long lines of sight enabled us in particular to kind of read the game without having to verbalize a lot of things. Like you said, so if you're game controlling you can just stick your head around one wall and see that beefy, or our last line defender was, say we're green, just sort of standing at the lighthouse at the top of the ramp, from the middle up to green, and you just know things are okay then, right? And if you look there and you see that there's no one occupying that space, well then, okay, so something's happening at our base. And yeah, definitely those long lines of sight, and then that played into it.
I was lucky enough to play mid this year because I was host side off. I said to Cairns, I don't know how stressful my week's going to be, so can you run all the games and I'll just play mid. So after 2015, I was game controller that year, so it was perfect. It was so nice just to be able to run around the arena without really having to defend or attack. just run around doing a bit of both. That was good fun. That was the results. Payne, it was his first year playing on Nightmare that year.
I got Queenie in the chat just saying bring back the original green base, and I have to say that I agree, because I've only played the arena once since that change has been made, and that was in the Rumble a couple of years ago, and that new green base is just god awful. I missed that old green base, man.
Well,
yeah, that was, it was tough to play.
Sadly, this area here, that was the old green base, is now part of our cafe area. So there's very little chance of bringing back the old green base. I'm sorry, Queenie, but yeah, hopefully we can improve. Well, we do actually want to bring green back upstairs one day. We just got to do some major renovations to do it. So, and we've got a very restricted space that we don't really have much flexibility with now downstairs. So, yeah, but it was a good base. Certainly much enjoyed by a large proportion of players than the new base, that's for sure. Cool. All right. Should we run through the results, Ibo?
Yeah, we can do. Just a little thing I would actually like to cap off before we go into the results is that, and at the risk of sounding like a bit of a dick, I truly do believe that this was, I still think, and it holds up. I think us being a home team and dominating the way we did in at this stats, I don't think has been replicated yet by anyone else. It's come close, but really, I look at all the other years. The Wolfpack have some serious domination, but I think just the combination of being at home and the amount of training, like we were sort of peaking at that point in time. Yeah, I just think it's actually, to pat us on the back, I think the results are pretty remarkable, honestly. I mean, yeah, so we won the teams event with the Cobras coming in second, Wolfpack in third. Bootza, you won the solos event with Fitzy coming in second, Ninja Jim in third. Doubles was won by Dark Passion and Four Eyes, so mixed team Maroons and Cobras with Cans and Wooldot in second, and Bootza and Ibo in third. So we sort of swept doubles. Triples was won by Cans, Wooldot, and myself, with Bootza, Dark Passion, and Hybrid in second. So again, with the exception of Beefy, we were all in the top two at triples. Milfa Moldy and Gustus. GMI won Masters, Mopar in second, Fred in third. Raven started. Raven took out the women's event with JJ in second, Arcane in third. Chutch took out juniors with Reflex in second and JJ in third. And Lord of the Rings was swept by the Maroons with myself winning, Mad Cans in second and Beefy in third.
So when you say what you said before, Ibo, you're referring to the trophy results, not the actual wins.
Oh, no, honestly, just all round. I mean, so the trophy results, yep, I think that's pretty indisputable. But there have been, I think, teams that have gone through an entire nationals with less losses. But I don't know if as many games were played or if they had the cascade system. So we had 3 seconds throughout that entire tournament, including the grand finals.
I'd say just on that, the only team probably would have come close would have been Fury in 2011, because they went through the 2 cascades unbeaten and only dropped like 2 games or 3 games. But you guys only dropped 3 games across this comp as well. So,
I found years ago when I was in my full encyclopedia nerd state, I was like, what else is out there? And there's several instances where there's comparable runs of dominance, but there's always something missing. Like Fury
didn't win.
Didn't win, right?
Yeah.
Or there's been, other times where teams have won as high a percentage of games, but there was no cascades at that time, or they didn't win every event.
Ooh.
We swept every event except for Masters not swept, but we won every event except for Masters and Juniors, and I don't think we had any eligible Juniors, and Bootza didn't play Masters that year.
No.
I think the only one that may have come close, well, they didn't sweep all the events, but Vikings last year were pretty damn dominant.
Yeah, so the Vikings, absolutely. And that's
because that was just put in the chat by Holmes, and I think
so
they're probably the closest.
They only just missed out on the sweep with Lord of the Rings. And thanks Beefy for keeping that one. But I'm pretty sure Vikings dropped a couple. I think Vikings had at least 1/3. But yeah,
Yes,
Run had to go to hospital at one stage. That cost them a couple of games.
Oh no!
Poor
but
bugger.
that's probably a great example of one of those ones that was really close. There was a Campbelltown team that did similar things. But I just think that I don't think there's much you can take away from us that year.
No.
I thought it was pretty. Obviously home team and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm proud of that result, and it's all ancient history now, right? So I can say that. But I just thought it was really cool, and I don't think it's quite been replicated yet.
I also felt like we were better the second year on Helios than the first, because we'd had 18 months to train on it rather than 6 months, which makes me a bit like what's Hobart going to do this year in Albury, because they've now had H2 for a whole nother year. Could they be even better on the packs? We'll see if that plays out that way. I think Helios was a slightly more difficult system to pick up than what H2 is, so I think that's maybe why it played out that way for us. But
I do just want to clarify that there are many circumstances that led to that, like what I'm talking about with us, like, and it's not just oh my god, we were amazing, it was just like everything fell into place. Like the training was just right, the timing was just right. We got the system, we got the home nats 2 years into the system, which was probably better than having it in 20. Like, so many things had to go right for us, and now the competition's also, nowadays the competition's so much hard. Like what Hobart did, this past year going is so impressive, because there's so many good players. It's pretty hard to win every event now.
Yeah, we didn't have to play Spartans and Wolfpack and
that's right. 100%. Yeah, sorry. So just to angle it, I'm not trying to make it a we were amazing thing. It was just like, I think it would be so hard to replicate something like that now.
Yeah. Well, sorry, we did have to play 100%. The Wolfpack, but that was our first year.
The Wolfpack were pretty good then, man.
They were really good, actually. They were really good. When we played them and they were blue in the grand final, we were just like, no, we dump to blue and we get Husky out with 5 players, because if we go down with 2 or 3, we might not get in. That was literally our strategy. So, anything more to add, guys, before we jump into ratings?
No.
All good. All right, Arbel, give us your arena rating.
I really like the arena. I thought it played well. It was a bit. The one downside was that it was a very large arena, like spatial-wise, and I was yelling so much. I actually bruised my larynx that year because I was yelling too much. So that was the only downside, but the arena was fun itself. I give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Great. Jake.
Yeah, probably give it a 4 myself. Loved the bases. I loved green base. I loved being able to just sweep right around the arena. So I had good movement all around, good lines of vision. Yeah.
Cool. And Ibo.
Yeah, I have to give it a 4 also. Super fun arena. If blue could have been made a little bit stronger, would have been, and made more even, I think definitely a 5. But yeah, that's really my only knock. Blue was quite difficult.
Cool. And fun factor, Mr. Arbel.
I found this Nats quite fun. It was, as I said, my first one. I've come back, meeting all the new players and everything. So it was a whole bunch of new people to meet, which was good. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 as well.
4. Good. Jake.
Yeah, it was probably fun fact was probably a 3 because it was technically a home nuts for me. So it wasn't you'd finish and you just sort of go home at the end of the night. There wasn't like a huge sort of heading out socializing factor, but that's the only reason. Otherwise, everything at the arena social was good.
Cool. And Ivo?
Definitely a 5 on the fun scale for me. Getting into some of that media stuff was really enjoyable. Being in a comfortable home environment, was good. I think most of us crashed at Beefy's house. I definitely did. So kind of just going back to Beefy's place after the games, and social was good. The Wednesday night drinks were good. Super fun.
Yep, cool. And I've given it a 4 as well, and I also gave the arena a 4 as well. In terms of the level of the comp, Arbel.
For me, because I've obviously been down a bit towards the bottom end of the ladder this year, I gave it a 3 just because, that was something new for me, but it was a learning curve. So I was, the competition was still good. Like technically, it probably should almost be a 4, possibly even a 5. But me personally, it felt like a 3.
Yep, cool. And Jake?
Probably a 3. It just seemed to be like below you guys. It was your year to lose, and then I feel it was like another 5 or 6 teams, and then everything below that. So probably a 3.
Yeah. Ivo.
I'm going to give the competition a 4, but for the same reasons Jake gave it a 3. In that, I feel like Maroons were probably in a class of their own that year, but other than that, I actually felt like it was quite competitive, with like the Cobras, Ghost Bears, the Sharks. I don't know no, they were the Sharks then. Like, you got Ghost Bears, Sharks, Blue Steel was strong, Wolfpack was strong, Cobras, Tempest. There's a whole group of teams fighting for each other, and Adelaide had kind of split their main guys up across a couple of teams. So I think, like, honestly, if you take the Maroons out of that year, it's probably a 5 in terms of competitiveness. So gave it a 4. Same reasons as Jake, just a little bit higher.
Yep, and for me, I did it the same. Gave it a 3.5. Alrighty, let's move on to Radelaide. Here we are, and this is when we saw Code Red for the first time. So quick story. In 2016, I had connections to some of the Code Red guys, and I invited them up to play, just to come and visit in 2016 in Brisbane. And I think a few of them came up. I think it was Nightmare Rose and Princess came. And they liked what they saw, and they brought a whole team back in 2017. So, and now we have some of these players still playing in the scene. So, it was Helios, Nats, 33 teams, 186 players, 28 women, 22 masters, 27 juniors. So juniors went strong from the start. Adelaide. So, I mean, Ibo's going to talk a bit more about this later, but one of the biggest things about Adelaide was it was the first time we ever live streamed by accident, actually. I'll let Ibo tell that story. The volunteer stuff really started to take off this year after we had like the first year in Brisbane as just like a teething year. It really started to take off. We started to get big groups of people doing stuff. The competition's getting very professional at this point. I was on the committee with Tim and Simi this year, and a lot of work was done, particularly by Tim, rewriting the rule books, separating out all the formats from the rules, and like getting the wording right. Like there was still a lot of like just grammatical issues and just basically slickening everything up. And Simi brought her kind of background from the corporate space into systematizing everything in the background. So at this point, the whole competition is getting very systematized, very organized. I think at this point we're adding in code of conduct as well, possibly in 2017, 2018 time. So, we're starting to become a real sport at this point. It was pretty cool. All right, that's probably a quick wrap from me. Jake, did you want to kick us off this time?
probably standout things this year is made finals again, so that was good to be back up there, albeit briefly. Having Arthur and Blitz on the same team made for a lot of fun. Do we have Blitz? Oh God, I can't remember now. Actually, that's awkward. Did Blitz play?
Let me check. Yes. Hang on. No.
Okay, maybe it was Arthur. Let's just roll with that.
It was Arthur. He wasn't in the picture, but he did play on your team. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I love the arena, love the bases, love the flow, the social, just everything about this was fantastic. No real sort of standout things, but it's just socially a very enjoyable night.
Yeah, cool. Mr. Ibo.
Yeah, Adelaide. Great Nats. Remember it fondly. I remember lots of ups and downs emotionally. Which is good because you can't have ups without downs. And I just all around, I think it was just a killer year. The people were great, and the streaming really took off, and that's probably the highlight for me. Looking back historically, I think it was an important year for all of that. We'd done media stuff in the past, but we got some things right and some things wrong, and then all of a sudden we started live streaming the games so that people could go home and watch them, and I think we really broke through a glass ceiling once we did that.
Do you want to tell the story, mate? What happened?
Except I can't remember it 100% accurate, so maybe someone can confirm. But so we were streaming the games on Twitch or whatever platform it was, but there was either no audio at all, or I think just some copyright-free music in the background.
Was it scoreboard, right? Just broadcasting scoreboard?
just 5x3 scoreboard. Just 5x3 scoreboard. So no commentary, no nothing else. You could just go and watch the 5x3 scoreboard. And yeah, as I said, there was no audio, or there might have been some copyright-free music. And we had a media team, and the media team was still working very hard on like your daily shows and things like that. So we were doing like a morning show every day, and there was still all the interviews and stuff like that. And then in between, we'd just run the there's my ugly mug, but we'd just run the scoreboard. And one day, I was part of the media team, and I was in the media room, and I was just watching the scoreboard stream, and I think I was definitely with Ninja Jim, and I'm pretty sure it was Guinea, and we were all just kind of watching it and listening to the crappy copyright-free music in the background. I was like, "Hey, what do you guys reckon about just doing some commentary?" Right? And yeah, I think it was Guinea that was with me, and Ninja Jim was on the tech team, and he's like, "Well, I mean, we could just plug a mic in and do it." And so we did, and that was the first time we'd ever done like a commentary stream of the scoreboard. And all these years later, it's kind of like a staple.
I remember straight away we knew, like, when it was happening, like we're like, oh, this is special. This is like different. Like, this is way more interesting and easier than like having to put together pre-recorded content.
Yeah, that was the big thing, right? Is the pre-recorded content required so much work, and it was quite scripted, and but once really we're all there to play laser tag, the game of laser tag. That's why we go to nationals. We want to watch the games. People would ref just because they were fans of the game and they wanted to be in the arena and see what was happening, right? And all the other media stuff we'd done up until then was kind of about that, but it wasn't until we actually started talking about the games as they were happening that it really took off.
Yeah, so that was kind of the thing that spawned everything that happened in 2018, which was like the first official year of a proper live stream, like throughout the tournament with commentary and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a pretty special moment to have that for you guys. And yeah, Arbel, what about you, mate? What have you got to remember from Adelaide?
Oh, I didn't play.
No, I played this one. No, this was a year I was finally old enough to play Masters, which was good. So got myself a nice little trophy there. had good fun on the Bromego team because we'd picked up Ninja, who was living over here at the time, and it was good to get him on the on our team because obviously from Adelaide, a little bit of home-based knowledge went a long way, which was good. So that helped us, and it was good. It was good fun year. And like you said, just this felt like the year where things really started taking off from a more reachable game stream-wise, and being able to expose the game more.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly was. I'm trying to. Oh, there's the arena. There she is.
Sorry about my cat. She keeps walking in front of the camera.
Oh, please. Love cats. There's the arena. She was a ripper. A Mopar arena. Definitely a Mopar arena. Everybody's pretty close to each other. I'm trying to remember if there was a dominant color. Was it red again?
Yeah.
Pretty sure red
It was
was
red.
winning, wasn't
It was
it?
red.
It was red because the base taking spot was handed to the other two. And that's what made it different.
Yeah, and
just a little bit better.
you could kind of lock it down a bit. You could kind of put two people in there and lock it down, couldn't you?
Yeah, me and Mopar in there was quite unstoppable. I think actually that last game in the finals, I'll take it as a bit of a compliment. You guys sent 5 to us to get us 2 out.
Yeah.
I think you shot it 2 or 3 times and then left again, and I was like, at least we can win one game. And then no, we didn't. we were just happy to be in the finals.
Was that was the third game of the grand final, right?
Yeah.
So essentially what happened in that grand final is that this was the first year I think we could do counter picks, wasn't it, Ibo?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
So essentially we knew that we didn't want to be, when Wolfpack were blue, we didn't want to be green. So we counter picked that year, I'm pretty sure. And made sure that Blue Steel were blue when we were green, because we knew we were going to have to push onto them. And the last thing we wanted to be doing is pushing onto like Wax and Husky and Lakeo. We're like, okay, I think we're going to back ourselves more against the Blue Steel boys. No offense, Blue Steel boys, but
no. If there was a bed to be soiled, that was our year.
Yeah.
And look, to be fair, the Wolfpack were so much better than us that year.
Yeah.
Pretty much until just some key things happened in the grand final. But throughout the course of that week, they were a level above us, and I reckon everyone else.
Yeah. So if we go back to here, they were sitting in second behind the Cobras. So the Cobras, another year, the Cobras got 3 bites of the cherry for Golden Games and couldn't quite get over the line, sadly for them. And Wolfpack were right up there, and they'd trained really hard for this year. We hadn't trained as hard this year. We started training very late after 2016. I think we'd been training hard for a lot of years at that point, 5 or 6 years straight. We've been training pretty hard, and we were kind of getting a little bit tired. But we got into the arena just early enough, and we weren't peaking at all earlier in the comp, and we started to get our stuff together towards the end of the comp. But in the grand final, essentially, it was a lockdown game. We were able to push onto Blue Steel and get a few bases, and we were waiting for one of the, Wolfpack to respond to that and start to go more aggressive, but nobody did. And everybody just kind of played the game out without going aggressive. We ended up 10K up in that game. So we knew that if we just blew the last game up, we knew the second game was like a break-even game. We just knew if we blew the last game up, that it was going to be pretty much a draw, and that we should have the lead. And we couldn't get through you and Mopar in there. We're like, okay, we're not going to keep bashing our heads up against this brick wall. We'll just dump, essentially. So we dumped and came to you. We're like, okay, we might not win this game, but at least it's going to be within a couple of K across all 3 teams.
So I remember in that game when you made that call, I was so against it. I was like, are you crazy? Like I remember I've never ever been more against a call ever, but like obviously discipline prevailed, and I was like, whatever, we have to all do the same thing. Like you even if it's the wrong call, you're better off doing the wrong thing well than the right thing poorly and being scrambled. And then hindsight, like I reflect on it and I was like, oh no, you just think on another level than me. it was absolutely the right call. But in the moment, I was like, oh man, you've just cost us this finals, but I'm going to do it. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah. So that was the the first game we ended up with a big lead. I think we thought it was only about 7K.
We were doing the math and we thought we were about 6 or 7 up.
And then in the second game, we thought we were only a couple of K up, but we're actually about break even. So we ended up, we thought we were at about the 10K up spot going into the last game, but it wasn't actually exactly how we thought it turned out. It was a bit different, but it was still the same kind of position we're in. And then we just like, let's just blow the last game up and go to, send it to 10 if we need to. That's what we did in the end. So, and out of all the 3 wins, this one's kind of got a special spot. I mean, just because, the first year we had the pack advantage, it was a rebuilding year. There wasn't a huge amount of depth in the top tier teams. Second year was at home. And then this year was like all the odds were stacked against us. We didn't have as much training. We weren't the best team during the week at all. And we just had to kind of use our experience and try to peak at the right time to get over the line. And that's how we did it pretty much. Any other things you guys remember from the arena or any of the games?
I think just to show how dominant that red defense was, I think one game I shot 42 people without being tagged and then ran to blue, put my third shot in and got doubled on it as I destroyed the base. So the first time I got shot was like, a stupid amount of time into the game. I don't know if it's exactly that many tags, but it was something ridiculous like that. Just a
breaking GRC. Big time.
I remember Azrael was particularly good at defending inside of red as well.
Yeah, all the bases were fantastic. I really enjoyed the arena.
Yeah, it was just such a. I don't know. The bases were fun to play. They were fair. They looked similar, but they played completely different. And just true. the pushing between the. I know it was a small arena. It wasn't too small though. I agree. It was a ripper. All right. Anything more to add before we go to results?
Nope.
Good. Want to jump into some results, Mr. Ibo?
Cool, mate. So in the teams event, the Maroons took it out with Wolfpack in second and Blue Steel in third. So we had an all Queensland final.
That's right. Yeah. That was another unique thing about the year, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it was. And I mean, particularly Blue Steel that year were good, but probably not expected to be in the final when there was teams like Cobras and Adelaide. Like the Desolators were pretty strong. It was definitely. I feel like there was 6 or 7 deep in the top. Like 6 or 7 teams were definitely finals contenders. And Blue Steel probably wasn't one of them, and they snuck through.
We had a good climb.
Yeah. Solos, Bootza won solos again. CV got second in solos again. And Dark Passion got third. Doubles, Bootza and myself took out doubles with Popeyes and Margie in second, Rogue and Hybrid in third. Triples was won by Leper, Spitfire and CV, with Bakura, Bootza and Meerkat in second, Nufa, Gustus and Payne in third. Arbel winning Masters. So that was your first crack at it, was it, mate?
GMI didn't pick on me, which is good.
Oh, how good. Garn, who I think was a regular second place Masters.
He has 4.
He's got 4 seconds. Oh my god, dude.
Yep.
So Garn in second and Mopar in third. Chutch taking out the women's event with Raven in second place and Sastiel or Cyrus in third. Juniors Wax in first, Denied in second, Reflex in third. And Lord of the Rings, we have another Queensland sweep in Lord of the Rings with Beefy taking out first place, Husky in second, and Orkarai in third.
Yeah. Cool. And I forgot to mention before, we had Dot and Invalid come over from the US this year as well.
Yeah, true.
Of course we did, yeah.
Yeah, which was pretty cool that they came over. Awesome. All right, shall we get into some star ratings? Mr. Ibo, what do you think about the arena?
Mate, the arena, I give a solid 4 out of 5. I thought it was great, tight, compact. Awesome competition maze.
Yeah, mate. I agree. Snake?
Yeah, this is my second 5er. So
yeah,
just everything about the arena completely.
Actually, I'm going to change mine to a 5 as well.
Welcome to the party.
I'm going to change mine to a 5.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Arbel, what are you changing yours to? Oh,
no, I'm keeping mine. I'm keeping mine the same, but I'm going to keep it. Mine's a 4. It was just I thought it was a little bit too compact, but it played well for how compact it was, which was quite surprising. And I didn't think I'd be a fan of almost symmetrical bases, but like I said, each base seemed to play different for some unknown reason, even though they were laid out correctly. So yeah, 4.
Beautiful. And I've given a 4.5 for all the reasons previously spoken. Okay, fun factor, Ibo.
Fun factor, I'll give this Nats a 3. Yeah, I don't honestly, I don't recall the social or fun element of it being. There was nothing particularly memorably good either way. So yeah, just a solid, good Nats.
Yeah, sweet, Jake.
It was probably a 4. And again, as for most, like, I'm all about the social. So once again, it's because of the social side of things. Hanging out with Kippy's team, and some of the others, like Elusive Quality, it was just, for me, again, social was fantastic.
Brilliant. And Mr. Arbel.
I'm going to have to give mine a 2 on this one. We were staying over in the city, not near site, and we're in a little hotel room. We're away from everybody. I remember there was these god-awful roadworks we had to get through every day. It was over a half-hour trip to site, and it just made me feel like, oh god, we're slugging at the site, and got it So that sort of killed the fun factor a little bit for me. And not many teams were staying there. There was only I think one other WA team maybe was staying there. So social was a bit down this year, but so 2.
Actually, I'm going to jump in. I'm bumping mine to a 4 because I forgot about the sick Airbnb that we got. Like our accommodation. Our accommodation was so gnarly, and I can't believe I'd just forgotten about it. But I'll let Bootza go into that more because it sounds like that was the train he was. But I'm going to change mine to a 4 purely because the accommodation was sick.
Yeah, wicked mansion, and we had a beach. Remember, we could walk down to the beach from there, which is something that I liked. So yeah, mine was a 4 for that as well. Level of the comp, Ibo, what do you reckon?
I'm going to give this one a 4. Yeah, definitely. The Wolfpack were the Cobras and the Wolfpack were both better than us throughout the course of the competition. One Up was scary. There was just 7 teams that I was really proper terrified of, and then even as I look down the ladder, those. Some of those teams that I'm seeing down in 19th, 20th, 21st, those teams aren't jokes. So I do think the level of the competition at Adelaide was pretty high. The Desolators were really good and in their home maze, and they were only going in 5th place going into System D, and they were good.
You reckon this is the year where the middle tier really started to come up as well?
Yeah. I was just about to mention that in my rating, yes.
Yeah. Double?
My rating was going to be a solid 4, and quite solid, because I remember not just even the team games, I remember even some of the side events, and I mentioned to you, Bootza, we had a doubles Replicharge 2 game, which a few years earlier was the grand finals, pretty much bar one team, and that was a Replicharge 2 game, so it's damn.
Well, Bootza and I had to play every Replicharge in doubles too.
We played you in one of them.
We played every Replicharge game.
Yeah, and we played them with one of you, and literally it was pretty much the finals teams from 2014, bar a couple. So yeah, tough level of that,
Yeah. Jake, what do you think of the level?
Pretty much in par with you guys. It was probably a 4. Solid games. I don't think we should have been in the finals, but with that aside, it was tough. It was good, solid games.
Yeah, and I've given it a 4 as well. So that wraps up our reflection onto Adelaide. Legendary year. I think we all can agree that was one of the great years. Let's move on to Albury. We have biggest ever nationals that we've had, 37 teams, 214 players. Only time we've ever cracked 200 players, 29 women's, 26 masters, 27 juniors. So yeah, cool things about this year. First year we properly streamed, which was exciting. It was GP came over from Finland for their first year. And of course, GP were legendary in Europe and the US, had won multiple world championships, have won pretty much everything in Europe multiple times over, were unanimously known as the best team in Europe throughout that period, and probably the best team in history in Europe. So they came over, which meant that we had actually broken the Maroons up at that point, and then we decided to come back together because we couldn't have the reigning champions not playing GP in the nationals. So I had to jump off a team that I'd already committed to, which was sad for me because I really wanted to play with those guys, but we felt like there was an important thing to happen, that the existing winners played the GP. So we did that, which ended up being probably a bit of a mistake. Just a little bit.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't Canberra bad. It was like
somewhere.
It was like Werribee bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we weren't great that year, but we pulled it together kind of towards the end.
No. We started good, and we finished. Yeah. We finished trash. We started great. We had a perfect round robin.
Well, yeah, we actually came up the ladder on the final day. We started in 8th and climbed. So it was the middle part that was really bad. Cascade 1 and 2 were horrendous. Yeah, and then this was the first year we had a really long list of contending teams. Like I went through each year and just wrote out the number of who I thought was contending. And this was the first year we got to 9 teams. I think were probably contending for finals that year. And it hadn't really been before that, it was like 5, 6, or 7 teams usually. So yeah, Albury was definitely another stepping stone towards the modern era of lots and lots of teams competing for finals. I'll hand over to you guys now. Jake, did you want to kick us off this time?
Yeah. Probably the standout thing for this year was the fact that, and once again, it comes back to social, but so many teams stayed at the one accommodation and just at the end of every day, there were barbecues and drinks and beer pong and pool, and just socially, it was the best year I've ever had. Yeah. And
I was at that accommodation. I'll vouch for that. You know?
It was sick. I really enjoyed the bases in this arena. As simple as they were, they played really well, in my opinion. So, but I think for some reason, or maybe it was just through talking to Lance, but it was, if you're not green, be green. But yeah, not 100% certain on that one.
So we've got the arena here. Here we go. Yeah, so green had the 4 entrances. And it was just a massive arena, like a massive arena. My God.
No, that's not the actual maze map that we played with.
No, that's not it. The blue was different.
Blue was massively longer. It went the whole way down, and green had 2 entrances.
So this must be one of the pre-nats.
Because green had
maps.
That was the pre-nats, because blue had the V.
Ah, that's right. Yep. Okay, so that's not the arena.
It's a very old arena map.
Well, this one, you can at least get a sense of the size of the arena back then.
If you go onto Doug's page, it's on there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But it's not to scale because it wasn't big enough. Just sadly.
Yeah, red was at the top more, wasn't it?
Red was there.
There.
This was the actual scale of the actual maze, but the bases were a different layout. Is the only difference, because that was one thing. I'll just continue on.
Yeah, that's right.
This maze was like, the bases themselves played fun, but it was a massive maze. to get from base to base. Like, especially green, and for whatever reason as well, while we'd set up streaming, it was good. The green base camera was basically where that orange box is, and so you couldn't even see into the base, which sort of didn't help, because I remember sometimes watching the commentary and it was like, yes, we've got commentary, and it's like, someone's shooting green, I don't know who.
Yep.
And I think, so like it made it a little bit like, oh, that's a bit of a pity. Otherwise, it was me on a personal level though, I really struggled this year, and I still to this day cannot figure why. I just couldn't figure it out. It just went all bad for me. But other than that, it was a fun net still to have GP over, have such a large contingency of players there. It was good.
Yeah, for me, this was I probably wouldn't have played this year if it wasn't GP coming over and stuff like that. And I'm very glad I did, but on a personal level, it was this definitely was the first year I played where my priorities were not necessarily with the team and the results, and I was really focused on the media and some of the bigger picture stuff, and I was, the laser tag was kind of a bit of an afterthought, and that sort of reflected in the results. But yeah, still great nads.
Yeah, I was a similar. So this is the year that I was doing Urban Extreme. And for anybody who knows my my history, my performances fluctuate really very consistently with how much stress is going on in my business life, essentially. So like the really tough years I've had in business, like 2013 when we went to Canberra, that was the year we expanded Laser Zone. We took on the next tenancy and we had a big infrastructure project to do. 2018 is when I was doing Urban Extreme, and I just had a huge amount on my plate. And essentially it's just a whole bunch of focus and energy and stuff that's going on outside of laser tag that impacts my performance. So again, I was a bit below my best this year, and we hadn't trained much. But it was still a fun year. Always fun playing with the boys, the Maroon boys, of course, and playing GP was good. And then I led the media team for that first year as well. So I was still pretty heavily involved in all the administrative stuff. So just had a lot going on outside of laser tag, outside of just playing. But so it wasn't. It certainly wasn't one of my favoritist in terms of the overall fun factor. I probably just had too many distractions. It had nothing to do with the comp. It was more to do with what was going on outside of the laser tag world. Is there anything else we need to say? I think we should mention. So the Cobras were very strong this year. And
with their crazy strategy, their crazy
let's
dump to the opposite, dump to in the middle of the other two bases strategy.
They were doing a lot of split dumps.
Yeah, split dumps.
Yeah, they were split dumping, and then they would just at some stage swap to the other base. Like two would go to one base, two to go to the other, or two or three would go to the other, and then at some stage they'll just kind of. I don't think from talking to them, that it wasn't super structured in how they did it. It's just kind of always worked out that if one pair is struggling and the other team aren't, then the other team are going to rock up to the other base at some stage. You just have extra numbers there to get through it. So it kind of all just works.
They're also just trying to math the game, right? They're like, well, if we just get over 200 tags a game, it's going to be hard to beat us. So if we just put all of our players in positions where they're going to get a lot of tags, and we just hope that some bases go down, which is likely to happen when you got 3 or 4 players in close proximity to each other. They were sort of, that movie Moneyball. Has anyone seen the movie Moneyball? Like the Cobras were moneyballing zone.
Yeah, totally using stats to beat it. And I think we'd realised at that point, because of the doubling factor, because Helios was so many doubles happened on Helios, that it meant you could play strategies like this and consistently get enough points to win. And there they were right up the top again, 116, pretty close to the top.
A few really impressive teams that you wouldn't have expected to be in that group as well. Like you got Vanquish, the Base Invaders. I feel like the Base Invaders were a bogey team for us. Like we just could not And we'd look at them on paper like we should be able to beat these guys. Like they're good, but we should be able to beat them. And they just walked us every single time. Bootza, you're right. Like that's super deep. That top 10 is just like that was tight.
Yeah. Jake, you were the ref in that game. Tell us the Vanquish story when Link shot over the wall.
No, why me?
You were there. You can tell.
What have you got against Link, Jake?
I got nothing. Look, if he didn't look sheepish when it happened, I probably wouldn't have looked twice. But yeah, so I was reffing outside blue, and he was sort of standing at that top left corner of blue base on the outside. And from where I was standing, I could just see like this phaser up in the air. And I'm like, I didn't think too much of it. Sort of stepped to the side and he saw me looking and then stopped what he was doing and left. And then I went back to reffing and I went and looked again and I'm like, he's shooting into the base over the wall. Like, are you kidding me? He was so tall enough that he could get right up and spam down onto the shooter spot in blue base. I'm like, I don't know about this. So I was like, I went up to him, I'm like, don't do this again. I'm going to confer with some refs to just sort of make sure what's going on. And I got, after the game, spoke to like, or just sort of put my point of view out. And yeah, speaking to Dorky and a couple others, they're like, look, ultimately it's your decision. I was like, all right, because it's the first time it's happened. It's just a level 1 term. Just, I won't like do you for like cheating sort of thing, but don't, well, effectively I did, but don't do it again sort of thing. But Ninja comes running down the ramp, who was the captain, and he goes, doesn't matter if it's a level 1 or a 2. And Dorky's like, shut up, don't say anything, you shouldn't be, kind of thing. I'm just like, yeah, it's a level 1, and it was just enough to knock him out of finals. So,
wow, what a way to go to finals, hey?
Yeah, I felt a little bit bad.
Oh, mate, I don't think you can feel bad for that. Like, that's a term that has to be delivered, I'm afraid. That cannot go untermed. Shooting over a wall.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just looking down the list of teams as well. Like, it was just so competitive. I really have memories of just, this is when I started thinking about how deep the mid tier was. If you were off your game, like, you got Vikings, Grizzlies, the Immortals, that was one of the Adelaide teams, Dragons, all these guys in this middle pack here was still, if you weren't on your toes, you'd be losing points to those guys.
Sovereign, which was the home team.
Yep.
It's just super close.
I'd say it's also obviously GP were obviously a very good team already, but like they had a big learning curve because they played different styles. They didn't know about players paneling up and everything because they weren't allowed to panel up at their home base, so they still allow players hugging walls, looking around corners, and it's just not something they do. And so they had to get over that as well as the big trip over and etc. So they were actually already good, but yeah,
no stuns.
Yep.
An extra shot per second. Hugely different.
I think GP earned a lot of respect as well, just the way they handled themselves. They didn't rock up expecting to be the best. They were like pretty humble. They were just wanted to learn, and they took it. Like, they didn't perform to the level they wanted to, and they were like, all right, we'll just come back next year and try again. Like, there was no blaming of the format or anything like that. It was just, no, we can just get better at this, and we're just going to come back and improve it. So I think, I know for me anyway, they earned a lot of respect, and from the rest of the community, I felt they, everyone really respected what they did here.
They made an effort to socialise as well. They didn't just stay in their rooms. They were out there every night.
Oh, yeah. At that com, they were having a good time.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think we versed them in their first game in the arena, and that's the only time we beat them. So, just because they were not used to it yet.
All right, should we jump into some results, Ibo?
Absolutely. So Albury 2018. We see the end of the Maroons era and the start of the Wolfpacks. I'm glad we're only covering two of their victories in this stream, because it goes on for a little while. Yeah, so the Wolfpack take out their first title in first place in what's been easily, I think, the most dominant finals victory ever, with an average of like 9 or 10k. So over one up in second, and the Sharks in third. Ninja won the solos event with Popeyes coming in second, and You're coming in third. And You're also, just incidentally, has trophied in every ZLTAC solos he's attended, which is just incredibly impressive. Doubles was won by Wax and Husky. Who's Pineapple Daiquiris? I'm just going off Doug's. Who's Pineapple?
I couldn't figure this out either.
And Peaches and Cream. I think Peaches and Cream is Lake Yo and Meerkat.
Yeah, and Pineapple Daiquiris, I thought was Ninja and Meerkat? No. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Well.
I had worked it out at one stage, and on that sheet I sent you, Bootza, it's on there, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, well, some meme teams got first, second, and third in doubles. Triples was won by Method, Hybrid, and Flash. That was the weird triples format, wasn't it? Where it was like a
cash money.
That was so much fun.
So you had to shoot the base, but then get denied by your own team.
Yeah.
I remember though, because I remember that my team, the team Andrew team, me, Robo, and Ace, we played green, as did two other teams, and then I was thinking where other teams are playing in that final. I was like, hold on a second, I don't think anyone is Ninja and Pain second. Ninja just messaged me, by the way.
There you go, Ninja and Pain second.
But yeah, and in that game, I thought, I don't remember ever seeing Flash and Hybrid, and they were over at one of the reload bases in between blue and green by themselves, not contested for the whole game.
I think they won it by like a mile, because it was such they won it by an average of 12k.
It was because of that first game. They scored 75,900, and the next closest was 44,000, because they were left alone at one of the reloads by themselves. So they just went 9 shots, didn't deact, reset, do it again. They just did that.
I don't want to take anything away from them, but they
won it.
Format. That's such a trash format. Like, I don't great team, but trash format.
One of the issues is they had 10 teams and 5 bases. So you had to have 2 teams at every base, and as soon as there was a base with 3 teams at it, there's like somebody had an empty.
Well, that's what happened to the green. I was like,
were you at blue base Arbel, or were you at green?
No, I was at green, and we had 3 teams there, and I was like, well, if there's 3 teams here, someone's by themselves and winning.
So, because we had 3 teams at us as well. There were 2 of us contesting in the base, and then there was, I think, Rogue and
you had Rogue, Drake, and Wade
shooting into us. So there was like a team at like a base each by themselves, or something along those lines. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, there was, because I can remember Orkarai and Ninja and I were saying, yes, we were the first team to win that didn't get a free base. So we just claimed it as a first, even though we got third.
Well, yeah, so your Kudamo and Dexter from GP got second, Bootza, Okura, and Ninja in third. Masters, Mopar gets his first Masters victory and becomes Master Mopar. GMI in second place, Leo out of Darwin in third. Raven takes out women's, the first of a couple, I think. Oh, no, sorry. She'd won a few years prior, but the first of 2 in a row. Chuch in second, like in third. Juniors was Husky won juniors, Memeless in second, and Link in third. So, I mean, when you see players like Husky and Link playing in the juniors event, in 2018, it's kind of terrifying for what the next 10 years looks like, right? Like these guys are like 17, 18 years old, and they're dominating the tournament. So yeah, just unreal. Lord of the Rings was won by Payne, with Kudamo out of GP in second, and Siracle getting third. And that's
very good.
One of the only times Beefy's not in the finals.
Awesome. All right, let's do. Should we do our star ratings? Mr. Arbel, what's your arena rating?
My arena rating, if this one, is a 2, only because of the sheer size of it. I just didn't like the size of it. There was no rule, like I didn't feel any floating point areas. You had to go so far just to even find someone. It was just too spread out for me. Like the bases, but didn't like the arena size.
Yeah. Ibo?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 2 for basically the same reasons. Like, massive arena, and as a chunky boy, I didn't like having to run that far between bases. I totally get why all the guys on the Aubrey home team were like super lean because they get their cardio in playing in that arena. But and yeah, like I think it would have been a solid maze if it had just been a little bit closer together, and the shape of it being an L shape with green being kind of in its own box, I don't think worked super well. So yeah, it'll get a 2 from me.
Jake?
For the exact same reasons, I am also a 2.
Oh gosh, I thought 3 was bad, but yeah, I'm giving it a 3. Only because I still enjoyed playing it despite its size and everything. But yeah, I'll give it a 3. Fun factor, Arbel.
Yeah, I'm giving this one a 5. It was our first year as Grizzlies playing together, which we followed up next year, and yeah, we just had good fun, and we were out at your accommodation a lot, Jake, where you guys were, and just social. That was just so much fun going out there all the time. Just great nights, great chats, yeah, real great atmosphere. It was awesome.
Cool. Ibo?
Fun factor for me is a 3. Highs and lows. So, competitively, I didn't enjoy not being good. I don't like it when I suck. And the media stuff and the work that I was doing there was very fun, but also added to a bit of stress. And I don't know that I got to chill out as much as I would have liked to. So I'm sort of sitting in the middle with the 3.
Cool. Jake?
5. Best year ever. Social.
That was quick.
Nothing compares.
Wow. Okay. Well, you guys. Oh no, that was Bendigo. Yeah, I'm trying to think that there was a year where you guys were staying above us in the accommodation. That was, and we could hear you guys talking at night. I remember that was Bendigo now. That was very good. All right. We could. There was at Bendigo Nats.
Was that when we stayed at the Quest?
We could. Yeah. The Blue Steel guys were staying above us, so we'd go out on the balcony and we could hear.
Oh, that's right.
We could hear Rakesh talking at night loudly as he's smoking cigarettes outside. So that brought us much entertainment. That's what was coming out of that guy. All right, and I've given a 3-star as well, just because I was pretty distracted that year. Didn't really have my head in the game, so it wasn't quite my favourite year. Okay, level of the competition, Arbel.
Yeah, this was a really good year. Me personally, not so much, but the level of competition just felt like it was awesome. And teams, like I pointed out before, even though they were down low, could comfortably take games off the top team sometimes. So I'll probably go a 4 again.
4, Ibo?
I'll give this one a 5 in terms of level of competition, just on the depth. And I think, this was the best Wolfpack team I ever saw. This Wolfpack team was really, really, really good. And then, just all the teams underneath were like, it was good. Like, yeah, I was scared of all of the top probably 12, 13 teams. There was some level of fear there, and we're also just continuing to see the middle group improve. So yeah, I think 5.
Okay, Jake, you're going to give your rating, and I'm going to quickly bust to the bathroom, guys, because I'm busting, and I'll be back in just a moment.
I'm probably at a 4, simply because there were so many teams so close. Anyone could have jumped anyone. So, yeah.
So you need to make that rating go longer, Jake.
So it.
No, like, I don't know. It was strange because the 3 teams that made the finals, who was it? Wolfpack, One Up, and Sharks. Because Sharks came from 6.
Yeah, I feel like One Up and Sharks kind of. Yeah, I don't know.
Because they didn't feel like like you said, like any of those top 10 was a finals team, and you wouldn't have been like, oh, geez, they were lucky to get in. It would have been like, oh, this is still a good team that's in, and yeah.
I'm back. So sorry about that, guys. I thought I was going to be able to get through to the end of this, but this has gone for a very long time, and I was absolutely busting. So I'm glad I got to do that.
We've only got one more year left.
What, just out of curiosity, what rating did you give, Jake?
I gave it 4. Just simply because it was so tight. It could have been anyone's. Sort of like anyone could beat anyone, basically.
Yeah, I gave a 4.5 for the same reason. All right, we've got one more to go, guys. We're nearly done for this first installment. Sunshine Coast, here we are. Helios, 35 teams, 198 players, just shy of the 200. 29 women's, 20 masters, 29 juniors. And this is the year the Blue Eagles came from Europe. It was actually a combo deal. We had 2 Americans, a French, German, 2 Germans, and a Finnish person. So it was a big mix of Europeans that came over, which was really great, as well as GP guys came as well. Okay. What do we have here in terms of things that happened? I guess for me, it was back to where it all began. So my very first nationals in 2001 was at the Sunny Coast. So obviously when we hosted in 2009. So yeah, it always holds a special place in my heart coming back to the Sunny Coast for that reason. The first year we had team restrictions. So after Albury and, a lot of discussion in that year was about, okay, what's the maximum number of teams we should have at the competition? How are we going to limit registrations? It's the first time we've ever potentially needed to tell a team that they can't come. It was always an open comp before that. It was, and of course, I think the grand final was probably a historical event in terms of just how close it was. I think it was the closest we've had in history. It was an all Queensland final. So that's probably some of the big things for 2019. Ibo, you kind of on the fringes.
Yeah, so it was a funny one for me. I played some side events, but I didn't play in the teams event. I was a substitute player, and that's because a couple of months prior I ruptured my ACL and just wasn't fit to play. It was also my second ACL rupture, so I was useless as could be. So it was a bit of a down year. To be honest, if it had been anywhere else, I wouldn't have been there. But because it was local enough, I wanted to front up and do the commentary thing and do the other stuff. But I was very, very sad boy because I didn't get to play.
Yeah. Arbel, what do you remember from 2019, mate?
2019 was a good year for us as the Grizzlies. We went back to the grind and really were working hard on our things. And this is where Shreds had really started to fine tune his game as a defender. And so we were really happy with where we were. It was just good because we were back up mixing the top 10 and we had a really good cascade and pushed ourselves up into 4th and got a little bit lost because we were like, why are we against all these good teams? So we got a bit punished there. But it was good to be able to be back up, mixing with it again. But we had really good laughs in this team, and one of my favorite moments in game. And if anyone's still at the game, you can go back and watch it. Was Mushu? He was his role when we were red. Shreds and I were defending, and his role was to go and make sure no one comes from green. And Method Josh had run through the green reloader, and Mushu had just somehow missed him. And as Shreds is getting stuff, he just turns his head not to be looking at the door, and he walks in behind him, and then he turns around and looks at the door again, and he stands in there for a good 3 seconds and looks at both of us deciding who to shoot first. And then we all of a sudden just hear, we both die and the base light's going off, and we're like, Mushu, what'd you do, mate? And it's just actually, it's on, just looking at it on camera, it's just hilarious. He's standing in the base going, who should I shoot? Yeah, okay, I'll shoot this guy. It was just a funny moment in game. I loved it.
Nice. It's very easy in that arena to lose somebody going through reload, by the way. So I totally understand how that happens.
Yep.
It's
and in the same reload where Meerkat broke triples.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dirty man. We're doing so good. Unbelievable. Thanks, Meerkat.
What
And he was on my
happened there?
team.
I actually don't
Because
know.
it was the
Was that the vampire format?
it was the
broken
vampire game.
vampire? Yeah.
Oh, it
You
was
would
so good. It was
you had to
such
get
an
in shoot
enjoyable
base and
format,
you'd lose
we were
loads of stuff.
rocking at it, and then he went and shot a base.
No, he shot the
somewhere.
reloader. He shot the
Yeah, that's
reloader,
it.
which wasn't supposed to be a base. I know I messed up. Yeah.
Oh, I
He
forgot
just
about
put in
that.
the Twitch chat, yeah. And so then we had to change triple format on the fly right then and there because, yeah, we didn't know what to do because it was broken and couldn't be fixed.
Holy moly. There we go. I remember in solo finals, bloody Lakio. That was the big story of solos finals that year. Yeah,
I
he was
remember.
in here somewhere.
Yeah, I remember watching it, man, and just like he won the first game by like a healthy margin, and then I don't remember exactly how it panned out, but he was basically just winning from start to finish, and all of us were just like, where is he? Like, where is he playing?
He was reactivating somewhere in this area, and it was the only spot where nobody else was really starting up. Everybody's doing the standard dueling outside the doors at red and around at green and the main areas, but he was starting in this peculiar spot. And I know, like, if you can find yourself a spot that is unassuming, where you can reactivate and then walk into traffic, you can discover some magic in those spots. And he just did it. He just cracked the code and nobody picked it throughout the whole. Nobody knew he was winning inside those finals until he came out. And we're like, what, Lakio? Where were you?
And that's because he wasn't in a lot of the traffic, and so like you don't notice him because you're like, oh, I've been enjoying this person a lot and they're doing good, but he was just off to the side doing his thing.
What frustrates me about that is every time I've tried to do that in solos, I've just stood around and 45 seconds pass and I don't see anyone. Like, I've tried to do that. Oh, just slow down, find a spot, work your way into it. I've tried that so many times and it never works for me. Never ever worked.
Well,
I just do nothing. I do nothing for 30 seconds and then double with someone and go, well, if I want to double with someone, I can just go get in the fire pit, you know, like.
I think it's really rare to find a spot like that. I've only had it happen once in 2005. It happened. I found this one spot which nobody played during team comp, but you could reactivate safely there, and then from there walk into the traffic and get points. And nobody could. It was very difficult for people to pick what you were doing, and you were taking points off enough different people that nobody thought you were doing particularly well there. And it kind of like felt like he had one of those spots. They're pretty rare. I've really rarely come across them in solos. Usually you've got the best spots are known and you've got to compete for them, essentially, is what usually happens. So good on him, though. He deserved it. You know, he's the heart and soul of that team up until he left. So, yeah, it was really cool. Everyone was really stoked for him. But yeah, the arena was. I felt like the Sunny Coast Arena was a ripper. I loved that the distance between the bases. I thought was excellent. Yeah, you push out onto the back of the next base, but like you had to be on your toes because it was easy for people to get behind you. Again, like what happened, what you were describing, Arbel, when you pushed out from this door on red to have a look. It's very easy for somebody just to get through the reload and around the back there, and you really need to be alert. Husky won the grand final for them in their green game. Basically, this little spot here they call
7. Was that 7?
Yeah, 7. Yeah, and Husky's ungettable in there. During the last game of the grand final, they played green, and it was just killing it. Just so hard to get out. Yeah. They didn't have the ramp back then in 2019. They just had the reload on the bottom floor. And yeah, what else is there to say about the arena, guys? It was just pretty much a nice arena to float in. Had a bit of everything.
Yep.
Red base was a bit chaotic. Not really anywhere to stand and protect yourself. Like, I guess I was going to say consistently, but like confidently. I always felt in red a little bit vulnerable getting the base there. But yeah, red.
I
good
held
days.
red differently. I'd worked out a different way to hold it rather than the traditional on that panel looking around the corner. I held it on the other side. I could manage to twist my back and arm around in a certain way where you could see the edge of my lights, but you couldn't shoot them. And yeah, I remember talking to my team about it. I was like, I think I found a spot here. I can't be shot. And it was, yeah, I didn't get shot out much of that. It was actually really good. I was really happy I found that. And it also mean then inadvertently I was standing in the line of fire that you couldn't hit that player out behind me who was looking around the corner, which was Shreds. So the only thing I worked out in that maze.
You were doing like a high hold?
Yeah, high hold around that corner.
Yeah, so that's the way that all the Sunny Coast players play that base now. That way, a lot of the players who play that arena regularly play it like that now. I don't know if we were playing it like that in 2019, but I think they've.
I did in 2019. That was the only thing I worked out.
Mate, you're ahead of your time.
I am old.
I didn't have great charts to download off Doug's website for 2019, sadly, but I've got this one. I've got to say, playing on the Beavers, it felt like, Maroons was awesome. Beavers, it just felt like a very slick team to play on. Like we had these guys on it. Ninja, Falcon is young. He was young back then, but he was fast as hell. Link, and like Callum and I were the old buggers on the team essentially. But yeah, just a lot of youth and speed essentially, which was not really our one wood on the Maroons. We had enough speed, but we had like better brawling players. We had Arbel and Beefy who could brawl, and we were strategically pretty good. Beavers were good enough strategically, but just had a lot of talent with those young guys. And Falcon was an excellent left-hander, and was able to play red for us really well, in particular. So yeah, it felt like a cool year. I think it's the only year I've ever finished on top of the ladder, other than at home in 2016. So that was a fun part about it, essentially. But yeah, it was just in terms of how many that deep. Yeah, I remember the Grizzlies it was probably right down to the Grizzlies, which was contending for finals. So it was another really big, deep year, and even Renegades and through that mid tier was strong. That next 10 teams was really strong as well. All right. Anything more to share, guys, before we jump into results?
I just wish I could have played and I played solos and stuff like that, but looking at that arena, it would have been so fun to play when I was closer to being in my prime, and just disappointed I wasn't able to. Spion, actually.
I felt like it extracted the maximum skill out of all the roles. So I felt like I like to play in the mid, I like to float, and I felt like it took every part of my ability to do it really well, because it was so easy for people to get behind me. And but I could also, because I was experienced at it, I could get an advantage on other floats, because they were getting, people were getting behind them all the time, or they weren't floating aggressively enough. So I felt like it was a way you could separate yourself. The bases all had spots for last line defenders to be able to hold, particularly blue and green, and then red was just unique and it required a special skill set to be able to hold. It's particularly the left-handers had fun in there. And then, the game controls, like the lead attackers, like it was hard getting into bases. It was what it just was. Like you can just tell from the finals results, all those games. It was 9 in the first game.
It was close.
9, 5. 9, 9, and 8 bases total for each game. So it just felt like it ticked every box in terms of like the playability of the arena and what the skills it extracted out of the players, essentially.
Yep.
All right, what do you reckon, Ibo? Give us some results, mate.
Okay, so 2019, as we saw before, the Wolfpack took it out for their second straight victory by a margin of something like 300 average points over the Beavers, who got second, and they were only Beavers are only like 100 points clear of the Spartans in third. So definitely, I think surely that's the closest grand final ever. Lakeo dominating in solos and Wax coming in second. So Wolfpack represented really, really well there. You're in third. Doubles was won by Stalker and Potato. Lakeo and Link coming in second place. Husky and Wax coming in third. So Wolfpack really, really dominating the side events as well here. Triples was won by Link, Lakeo and Whamfox with Stalker, Penguin and Potato in second, and Pain, Husky and Ninja in third. So again, just all representation from the Wolfpack there. Bootza won Masters. Garn getting, well, I think we should just call second place in Masters the Garn Award at this point. And Arbel coming in third. Raven getting another women's title. Alex securing second and Gooby in third there. Juniors, we go over and Memeless takes out the juniors event with Fuggan in second and Link in third. And a all Wolfpack sweep of Lord of the Rings with Payne winning, Husky coming in second. Payne also getting a second on the trot, actually, I should mention. Husky coming in second and Wax taking out the third. So, you know, to be honest, the only thing separating the Wolfpack from maybe that 2016 Maroons run is that doubles, letting Stalker and Tato win doubles. Otherwise, they could probably really have that claim as the, you know, greatest Nats.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, arena rating, Ibo. What do you give it?
Like, I honestly, I can only give it a 3. At the time, I didn't enjoy it, but I think that's more about the limitations I had. Like, I couldn't play, I couldn't run, and you know, just reviewing that map and thinking about it again, I think it would be a lot higher if I was able to, you know, get my teeth into it a bit more. But I just wasn't able to, so I can only give it a 3.
Cool. Jake?
It's like, I enjoyed it, but I'd probably only give it a 3 because I couldn't really find a spot in any bases that worked for me. So I was just more a sporadic player inside a base, which works, but I'm also, you know, a spot player preferably. So I just couldn't find that in this one.
Cool. And Arbs?
I gave it a 4. Could have almost been higher. I just found it was a very defensive orientated maze, this one. Like, it was very hard to crack bases. Like, you had to work your butt off in attack you really had to spend money to get in there, because it was quite easy not easy, but like defense really had I thought an advantage in this game. So in this maze. Yep.
Yeah, I've given it a 5. I just thought it was great. But yeah, I do recognise it was probably slightly on the defensive side. Yeah, like some of those guys, the bases were hard to get into. All right, fun factor, Ibo.
1, but that's not a reflection of the site or the maze or anything. It was just where I was at in my life at the time. I was hobbling around on crutches and very emo because I couldn't play.
Jake?
Probably a 3 again. Although the team I play with was, you know, quite fun. I think we were initially going to have Stingray on the team, but then he went and played with the Spartans, which meant our captain, who was Mopar, was also like lead tech. So our team talks were 20 seconds before we went into a game. It just felt a bit all over the shop.
Yeah. Arbel?
Fun. Yeah, this was a good one for me. This is a 4. Our team really got gelled after 2018, and we had good laughs, good times, and we were up playing around the top tier again for some of it. So yeah, it just felt like it was all going good. So yeah, I give it a 4.
4, and I've given it a 4 as well. All right, level of the comp. Ibo, can you comment on this one, or would you like to comment on this one?
I actually think I will defer, because I think if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say a 4, but I didn't actually get to play these guys firsthand, so yeah, that's just my best guess.
Yeah, Jake.
Yeah, probably a 3.5. It was I mean, it was the top 3 teams, and then it was like the next, 32 teams that, well, maybe not that far down, but the next 25 teams that could have done well. And yeah, a bit more direction from us would have been nice. So yeah, just a 3.5.
Cool. Okay, and I've given it a 5. Just because of how deep that middle tier was, but I do recognise there was a bit, there was a bit of separation. You can even see it there between those home teams and the rest. But that brings us to the conclusion of our 2010 to 2019 ZLTAC Revisited. I want to thank you guys for sticking it out. It's been a long night. I really appreciate sticking it out and sharing all your memories and thoughts from the various nats. Is there any final words, lads?
Just thanks for having us, mate. And it's been a blast reliving all of these things.
It's come at a fitting time, given this is my last year. So yeah.
Yes, I've heard rumors.
Okay, yes.
There's some rumors.
Getting 2 weeks away from family is a pretty difficult thing, isn't it, mate?
It is, and it's time spent that we could go away for 2 weeks. So yeah, maybe a pre-nats here and there, but definitely no more nats.
Hopefully see you at a pre-nat sometime, mate. I'm in the same boat as you. In terms of tonight, I think you could probably spend 3 or 4 hours talking about each event if you really wanted to unpack it. So I'm glad we got to do this and we got to go through it all. And for those of you that were there or weren't there, hopefully there was some extra things that were interesting to you. We will be following up with the 2000. We'll probably go from 99 to 2009, I would say, in the next one. So not sure when that'll happen, but I will keep you posted, and we'll have to maybe get some relics out, dust some relics off from the old days, and see who we can get on the stream that was there for most of that period. Alrighty, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the content, and we'll be doing the US Nationals review stream, the prediction stream tomorrow. So tune in for that, and tune in throughout Nationals, which is coming up in about 2 weeks' time, because we'll be broadcasting lots of content from the 2024 ZLTAC in Albury. Alrighty, guys, have a great time. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.